planet? Is Janet from another 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 planet?
We live in a complicated world, and I believe we, the people, have the right to know what's happening in our towns, cities, and states. The mainstream media does not have our best interest at heart, and I want to share some information from around our great nation so we can fight back by being informed. Join me each week as we go after hours and get behind the scenes to uncover the truth.
Today's digital landscape with the spread of false information can lead to dangerous outcomes. It's crucial for everyone to think critically and verify sources and reflect on the impact of what they share. Let's promote responsible communication to ensure that truth prevails and actions remain rooted in reality.
The opinions you're about to hear on this show are strictly those of the panel.
The following program is rated TV MA LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
It sure is funny how many warnings I had to play.
I know, I was just laughing. Profanity and bad language and adult.
Well, because sometimes
adult content. Let's have fun.
And plus I have my channel set for not for children, so hopefully nobody's letting their kid watch any of my stuff. That's what I'm hoping.
Because they might learn critical thinking here, and that's good.
Because I'm very passionate, especially when it comes to the military, children, that kind of stuff, people's rights, the freedoms, stuff like that. I get very anal, so I can't help it. But I'm honest about it. I don't have a problem with that. But tonight I figured we'd stay on track with what you were talking about the last 2 weeks with all the stuff going on about the whole COVID, whistleblowers and different things like that, and them trying to get the truth out, find out who did what and when they did it, and hopefully we'll one day find out why, that kind of stuff. And then from there, start seeing maybe some people being held accountable. That would be good. But first, before we do that, I want to say hi to everybody in here. Hey, thank you for coming. Venus, of course, is what planet I'm from. So thank you for stopping in. I really appreciate it. Oh, hi, baby girl. Thank you for showing up tonight. Oh, you're having a beer? Well, good. I'm not. I'm drinking this. It's called Bitch Be Gone. So it's delicious stuff, too. No, it's pink lemonade. It looks like a spray bottle. See, it looks like like Lysol spray, but I love it. My daughter gave it to me. It's a great cup. But yeah, that's what I say. And yeah, you're right. It is a Smith Modernization Act that was signed into law by Obama, is why I believe that the media, if you change from one channel to another, they're basically saying our democracy, our democracy. It's the same thing on every channel because they're all following the same script. And that's why I stopped watching TV most of the time. And I get most of my news from like X or from YouTube, even though I don't trust YouTube. The streamers, the people that I follow, have been following for years, gamers, people I play, Pathfinder with, just people I've met through different things that I do. And those are the people I follow and listen to. And that's where I get most of my news, it's from other people like me that like to spout a bunch of shit, get it out there to people. And that's how I met Chris. Oh, that Chris, on X, from Spaces and stuff. And you never know. You just don't know who you're going to meet. But if you don't even try, you don't meet anybody, right? Right, Chris?
That's right.
So that's why I started doing this. And when I first came on, I just made short little videos on TikTok. And I'd send them to my sisters and my friends, make stupid videos. And then a friend sent me an invite to be on a show, and he interviewed me. And after that, he asked me if I wanted to start doing, like movie reviews with him. And so when I did that, that's when I started doing this kind of stuff, started getting interested in maybe trying to do something of my own. And when I started saying I wanted to do politics, I went, like it was a hiss because people don't want to do that. And now I can see why, because definitely YouTube does not agree with my political points of view, thinking that people belong in their own homes and that they should be able to afford to be able to buy a house, that our taxes should go to taking care of ourselves, so smaller government and all that stuff. They don't agree with that stuff. So we don't work well together, but oh well, I don't care. But tonight we're going to be talking more about COVID. I'm going to play a few videos here and there, and then Chris and I are going to discuss it, talk about it, and what we think is going to happen. Everybody pretty much knows my point of view already, and it hasn't changed since I first started doing this. So I just get real anal about it because I don't understand why so many people don't see the truth. To me, it's as plain as nose on my face. Okay, but to other people, it just seems very clouded and murky, and they just don't see things the same way I do, which is fine. I mean, they have the right to believe what they want. Everyone should have the right, but that's what I believe in. I believe that you should vote for anybody that's running for office in your state or in your towns and around the country, if it's for the federal government or whatever. And that's how you change things. And a lot of people don't believe in voting. They don't believe in any of that stuff anymore because they think the government is completely corrupt. But the thing is, I do believe there's a lot of corruption, and I'm sure Chris does too, right, Chris? But we have to help them clean up the mess that other crooked people have put in. So if you have a state and you've had Democrats running it for 75 years, and you're trillions of dollars in debt, and the taxes are through the wazoo, then you'd think that someone would go, maybe if we make some changes, we could lower the taxes and start actually bringing in some money and cutting all the fraud out. I mean, look at the fraud we've already found just in California and Minnesota, and some in Ohio, just in one or two little areas. And if we go widespread and start looking at all the levels of government and stuff, wow, it'd be shocked. We'll be shocked when we find out we cut off all the spigots for all the fraud, just that, and see how much money our government saves the country. More money can go to our veterans. More money can go to putting people in sanitariums or paying for police officers, all kinds of things that we could be actually doing with the money, where kids can actually go to the park and go to different places and not worry about being accosted or attacked or robbed. To me, that's all good stuff for everyone. It's not just Janet just wants it. Janet wants it all for herself. That's not true. Because if you do all these things, it's going to help everyone. Even the people that hate me will get help. They'll have a safer community to live in. So that's what I'm looking for. That's all I want. I just want to help our country and help people help themselves. That's all I want. And Chris, I know you want the same thing. But say hi to everybody. Introduce yourself to anyone who hasn't met you yet or watched the show. And then I'll bring up the first video.
Well, hey, I'm Chris. My last name is Moore. And I've never really given y'all a little bit of my story, but I'll give you some. I was born in Rome, Georgia, but before I was talking, I went to Japan. My father was in Vietnam. My first language was Japanese because my mother had to go back to America with a sick older brother, and they hired me a nanny, and she was lazy, and she didn't teach me how to speak English. So that was kind of crazy when my mom got home. But eventually ended up growing up most of my school age years in Texas, San Antonio at Fort Sam Houston, then Dallas, Texas, and then back to San Antonio. And I'm living now in Georgia where I was born, but I live in Augusta where my maternal ancestors' families came in the 1730s with Oglethorpe when he established Georgia. So my first career was really in the music industry. I played music, performed music, later got in the nightclub business and DJ'd some. And I worked for James Brown, the godfather of soul. And the second time he got in trouble, I called my father, who was a 2-star general and a medical officer, and asked him if I was too old to get in. And he said, well, you can try. And amazingly, I got in. So I had a military career. Then I switched over to helping out with federal stuff, helped out on some Marshall business up in Tennessee and Jamestown, and was part of the global WorldCom investigation. And there's some of those, I won't list them all, but that's what I've been doing since the mid 90s. And we'll probably talk about my biggest task of all a little bit later tonight. But basically now I'm working with some people who contribute to the Presidential Intelligence Advisory Board, and I attend Senate meetings and House meetings and go up there and meet with a few senators and congressmen. And in my dad's huge career he was Lyndon Baines Johnson's doctor, and he also was a doctor for George Herbert Walker Bush, and got into George Herbert Walker Bush's memoir. So I grew up around all of this stuff, and I really enjoy what I've done, and been able to do with my life. And I'm like Janet. I think we're in a place where you have to love some people until they learn how to love themselves, and it's getting kind of tedious. But yeah, that's who I am and what I've done in my life, and other than just investment things and some businesses I did. I've got 3 kids and 6 grandchildren, and one has a landscaping company. One runs a privately owned Home Depot-like place, and the other one runs the portable nuclear equipment at a major hospital in town. And I guess that's it.
Well,
so yeah, we're here tonight to stir the pot. We're here to stir the pot.
But yeah, you've been busy. So it's nice to have you on the show again. I really appreciate it. And I want to start off with this, because this is something a lot of people haven't seen yet, because you can't share it very many places without getting in trouble for it. And I used to have Facebook. Okay, I had Facebook up until 2020. And there was a few things that I posted that they would tell me I had to take down. I'm like, why? The other one that was on my, timeline or whatever, it looked almost identical to this, but it was with the opposite version from the other people, for Antifa or whoever it was. But yet that's artistic expression. But when I say it, I'm a bully. See, that's the wrong thing. That wasn't balanced. It was lopsided to where if you were on the left point of view, you could pretty much say anything you wanted, no matter how much hate it was, threatening people and all that stuff. But if I said anything, then I would get in trouble for it. So I just finally said, fuck you to Facebook. I started deleting all my pictures one at a time and posting other stupid shit like a chicken picture or something like that to replace the stuff that I took down. And then I changed my picture to Bill Clinton in the blue dress, you know, the one that was in what's his name's place. And I changed my name to Lynn. And then I just left it. And guess what? After all these years, still, I get emails that says someone's trying to log into your Facebook account that I don't have, that I deleted. But I realized that they don't want you to quit or leave because that takes the numbers away, right? So they leave it up there. That makes people think you still have an account, even though you haven't posted in a long time, just so that there's ads running along the side of it. And the people doing the ads say, oh, look, there's this many pages that my ad is on. You know, they're not looking to see if all of them are real pages. So I feel sorry for the people that are still duped into thinking that they have to have Facebook, because I haven't used it since 2020, you know, within a few months after the president was sworn in. And I haven't been on it since. So Facebook sucks. And I don't like anything about Facebook. I think he's a disgusting pig. And I've already told Chris about it. But I'm going to play this for you, and then we can talk about it. But let me get this opened up here and play it. It says the leaked video of Mark Zuckerberg where he warned his Facebook executives not to get vaccinated with the mRNA COVID vaccines because we don't know the long-term side effects of modifying people's DNA and RNA. Okay, so I'm going to play this for you. Make it bigger. And here we go.
We just don't know the long-term side effects of basically modifying people's DNA and RNA.
DNA is inherent in your own nucleus cell.
We just don't know the long-term side effects of basically modifying people.
Last week, Facebook announced they are, quote, expanding their efforts to remove false claims on Facebook and Instagram about COVID-19 vaccines. Let's take a look at Facebook's most updated COVID-19 vaccine policy. The real kicker is right here in the policy where Facebook says it would remove any content that, quote, claims the COVID-19 vaccine changes people's DNA. Well, we just got a new leaked tape from Zuckerberg himself, the CEO of Facebook, basically violating his own code of conduct. He would be censored on the platform today for what he said.
I share some caution on this because we just don't know the long-term side effects of basically modifying people's DNA and RNA.
So when Zuckerberg said, quote, basically, the vaccine is modifying people's DNA, it seems pretty clear modifying is synonymous with changing. Again, Zuckerberg would be banned from Facebook for saying this. This video of me showing the CEO of Facebook talking might be
perfect. So, well, Chris, what do you think of that?
I just want to tell this. I mentioned on the last show that Zuckerberg's wife was part of
we just don't know
the development of this.
Yeah.
Right. Now, let me tell you how we came about that information. All right. So I've got, maybe next week I'm going to post it. I have a 500-page PDF.
Mm-hmm.
And I got it from NIH. And it literally had all of the grants, what year, what the grant went for, everybody's name on there and all that stuff, right? So Dawn was asking a lot of questions about that PDF. And I was answering her questions and blah, blah, blah. And then at the end, I said, well, if you want to find something like that out, you track some of these companies in here, and then you look at who works at those companies, and then you can find out more details about the people. Like not Moderna, but the actual people. And she went, you know Dawn as well as I do. She went crazy, right? And then she called me up about 2 days later, and you're not going to believe who one of the people that works in the laboratory that does this is. And I was like, who? And she goes, Mark Zuckerberg's wife. I was like, oh, so she sent me the paperwork, and sure enough, It was her. It was her. So he had inside information. That's all I have to say about that video. He had inside information, the truth, and he allowed those scumbags in the FBI to come tell him, we'll shut you down. We'll put you in jail if you say any of this stuff. I noticed where someone had posted, social media is like propaganda, social media news. I'm like, no, if you look over the last 7 years, you hear the truth in social media. In social media, you hear the truth. It's the mainstream media who parrots all this bullshit that after 7 years, it's like nothing they ever said was true. So those are the lost people that I'm trying to reach, that they're still bought into the matrix, right? They'll take the next vaccine. They'll do whatever these imbeciles that run our country right now, they're going to do whatever they tell them to do. And it's because they don't have the good sense to go listen to the truth. And then when they hear it, they want to call it propaganda. That person was a propagandist trying to put a leftist woke ideology that the truth is not on X, right? If it wasn't for Elon Musk, nobody would still be able to tell the truth right now. Thank God something happened to Elon that made him say, I want to have this country. I came here from South Africa. I'm the richest man here. And if this country doesn't last, I won't last. And in that moment, I was around to hear those thoughts coming out of him. And I watched him change. And I'm telling you that it was amazing. And we wouldn't be having this conversation without him. It just wouldn't be happening.
Well, I remember when I first signed up for, it was called, what was it called? Damn it. Not Patriot. I can't remember. What was the name of that one channel that Google, YouTube, and Twitter took down? The Patriot channel, wasn't it? What was it called?
I don't know. I
can't remember. I signed up for it, and everybody was leaving the different apps to get this app, and you it had a waiting list. Parlor. That's what it was. Okay. Yeah. And I was one of the first lucky ones to get on there, because as soon as I heard about it, I signed up, and I loved it. It was great. I mean, it was such a good site. I'm on Truth Social now, and it's not even as good as what that one was. So they took it down. They took down their servers, and to put them back up there, they made them make changes to what they were allowed to say and what the people could do. And it wasn't the same when it came back. So I deleted my account. It was terrible. But that just shows you that when the company gets big enough, like these pharmaceutical companies that forced you to think that if you don't get the jab, you're going to lose your job. But I was lucky, because I had a doctor that told me not to take it. And the reason is because he was an allergy doctor. And I was doing allergy injections every week just to live in the state of Arkansas, because I'm allergic to everything in this state. It's terrible. I mean, it's horrible to say that, but I was having to do shots to live here. And he said, if I inject all my allergy patients with this, not knowing what's in it, I might not have any patients next month. So he was trying to make sure that we didn't take something that we don't know, because I can't even take ibuprofen. And I have to carry EpiPen everywhere I go, because I'm allergic to, if I get stung by a bee, I could die, a few things like that. But I work in my yard. I do all kinds of stuff because I want to live a normal life. Well, I didn't do it because of that. But then I started paying attention to everyone around me that were, wearing masks, walking around petrified all the time, driving in their car with their mask on by themselves, like they were going to die tomorrow from COVID. But I personally didn't know a single person who died from COVID when they caught the COVID, right? But after people started getting the jabbed up, I started noticing more people that were having like nervous disorders where they started having the shakes and doing other different things with neurological problems. And then people started having, strokes, not really, I didn't know if it was a heart attack or not, but they started having heart palpitations and all these other things, and just different things, like started having stomach problems and skin problems, all kinds of stuff. I already had allergies, so I already have itchy skin, and stuff like that. But I just noticed it. I started noticing. I started paying more attention to it, and then every time they see me or want to come over, they'd bring me a box. So I test myself, you need to test to see if you have COVID. And I was like, I'm not sick. I don't have a fever. I feel fine. I'm not ill. Well, you still need to test. And I'm not sticking that up my nose, because I saw videos, because of where I'm at on YouTube, I saw videos that people sent me showing people look like India sitting in a little hut with kids, no shoes, dirt floor, taking these long sticks with a cotton swab on the end, putting them in a little bag and sealing it shut, and then putting it in a box. So I'm like, it's not sterile. I'm not sticking that up my nose right next to the membrane that's next to your brain. No way, I'm not doing it. And there was all these videos about the dogs dying in the laboratories. All that stuff. And I was like, it's too scary. I wouldn't do it. I didn't know what was going on. Sorry, I'm getting a scratchy throat. Sorry.
Have some lemonade.
But did you see any of that? Did you see any of those videos I'm talking about?
Yeah, I mean, I saw all of those. Here, the military complex already knew, right? The same thing happened in America when the actual virus came before the mRNA vaccine game started.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the same people that died in China when the outbreak first started were just like the people in America that died. They had pre-conditioned problems: diabetes, heart disease, lung disease, liver disease, and it was because when the actual virus itself got inside people, it wasn't the virus that killed them. It was a reaction to the virus that's called cytokine storm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, some doctors call it cytokine. It's always been cytokine around my circle. That's what I call it, cytokine storm. And it's a ACE2 reaction in the Krebs cycle that produces a lot of fluid in your blood and lowers your oxygen and some D-dimer and some really important chemicals that you need for your immune system. Well, some of the people who died were like marathon runners in the absolute best of shape, and their body was so immune strong that it overreacted, and they got the cytokine storm based on that. The sicker people, once you added that virus in there. So when the spike protein issue came along, that was a genetically engineered strand of DNA that went inside your body. And then you have a part of your blood cell that makes new mRNA strands. One goes in one end, and that tells that little piece of the molecule, the blood cell in there, to make a new strand, and it spits out two brand new ones that are right. Well, they put this genetic spike protein, it went in there and it reprogrammed our DNA. That's what Zuckerberg was referring to there. Then a whole nother set of problems came up. So I spoke with Dr. Angus Galreath after Senator Johnson had to take a break to go vote on something over at the Senate. We had about 20 minutes, and I talked to the doctor, and I reminded him that in all of the graphs that he was putting up on the board, he forgot to put one up there we built that was about Australia. So here was Australia's deal. They heard the word COVID and they sealed their borders. This was early January of 2020. No one came in. They had a total of 500 people who actually tested positive for COVID. So they did the first vaccine rollout And the vaccine rollout came out, 1.1 million people died all of a sudden. And then they had a new strand that they had to make a new vaccine for, whether it was Omicron or whatever it was. I don't even remember them all. There's been so many now. We can't even keep up with all of it, right? But we're immune to all of them now. And herd immunity was what the only thing that was going to stop COVID ever was herd immunity. And then when they put out the mRNA vaccines, they killed what is estimated now to be 840,000 people. You know, that's genocide, right? I'm sorry. I don't care that it was a mistake. I don't even care that it was a mistake in the end. And they knew this. I started all of this by saying intelligence people, the military industrial complex, we knew because we had already seen everything unfold in China and we were going to watch it unfold here. And the myth that this vaccine was going to make you A, not get sick, B, you know, not be able to spread it, blah, blah, blah. The only thing that they proved was that for about 63% of the people that took it who eventually got COVID, they didn't get as severely sick as the people who hadn't had it, right? So that's the history of it. That's the true history of it without all the propaganda and all the bullshit in there. And those are the numbers. And these are the things that Senator Johnson has people coming in even this week, last week, the week before, where world people or powerful doctors are coming in and they're telling the truth. And so when we initially, back in 2024, when I went to the intelligence people and gave them that 500-page PDF, we talked about everything, and that was in February. And by April, we had Fauci, Marines, and Hotez all came in to testify, and all three of them lied about what was in that document I found, right?
Yeah.
But they said, well, that's classified information. Well, it wasn't classified. It was on NIH's public access website. What it was covered up, right? Cover up and classified. It's not the same thing at all, right? So then we got Senator Johnson to take a look at it, and that's how we're here. And right now, Hotez and Marines have both been indicted as of this week. And they're going to turn on Fauci. And the only thing we're waiting on him is to void out that stupid pardon he got. And from what I understand, from what I understand, I have kind of heard through the grapevine, Joe Biden only signed 2 pardons. He signed Hunter's and he signed Fauci's. And if Biden signed it and they can prove it's his signature, you pretty much can't undo it. Yeah.
That's what I've seen so far, is that the auto pin was used on almost every single thing, except so far those 2 were supposedly really written by him. So, and you can tell the difference, because I was looking at a couple of videos that you can watch in lots of places online, and they show the exam, a close up of Biden's signature and the auto pin. The auto pin is perfect, like somebody took a stamp and went, like you get one of those made, and then someone's handwriting, because there's tiny variations. And as I watch a lot of documentaries, and they show how they examine different letters and stuff over time from the same person, so that they can make sure that that's their signature or whatever, that type of stuff. It's very, very interesting. And these people are freaking cool, are the ones that can sit and look at that and tell you, this looks like it was from it matches this signature from many years ago. Like someone had found a letter from somebody 25 years ago with a signature, and then they used that signature to sign checks. But that person is 25 years older now, and when they sign a check, it looks like this. And that kind of shit, I think, is really cool when you get into forensic science. And you got to have real scientists to be able to sit down and explain to normal people like me why there's a difference. Well, over time, you just become lazier in the way you write, it's because it's easier and faster or whatever. That's why your signature changes as you age, things like that. I just think it's so important. And that's why it's so important to find out whether it's his real signature or if it's the auto pen, because they've already proven when they did all those hearings that the auto pen was used by multiple people under Biden. But I want to share this video real quick because this is the person you've been going to see when you've been going to DC, right? Senator Ron Johnson? Because
Yeah.
he's leading most of this stuff about the whistleblowers, people coming out talking about the whole COVID stuff, right?
Yep.
So I want to share this with everyone, this little video, because I think it's it goes, all of these videos kind of go together when it comes to the mess of all the stuff coming out. So here we go. And here I'm going to share the links. I share all the links for everything I share on my show so that everybody can go there, read comments on the posts, things like that, and get more information or look for more if you're interested in following that person. So here we go. I'm going to share this with you.
Senator Johnson, can we get you on the COVID cover-up? So why do you think legacy media such as CNN is not covering this?
Why aren't you covering this?
I want to ask you about Iran.
You really ought to cover the fact that Peter Marks knew on March 1st of 2021 that their algorithms were hiding safety signals. 26 days later, found out 25 serious adverse events like sudden cardiac death, pulmonary infarction, Bell's palsy, different types of strokes, and they buried it. They hid it. It's a major scandal. It's even as big a scandal that the major media is completely ignoring the story. It's been out now for almost 6 weeks.
Can I ask you about
But anyway, so-
Iran? I'm sure that was a question. You're trying to ambush me. But
No,
I want to ask you
me
about
ambush
Iran.
you?
No, her. So I ask you about Iran.
Do you think we could see people suing the U.S. government over this COVID cover-up?
It's hard to say. I mean, the government really does a good job of protecting itself and people that carry out its mission. So, the legal ramifications for what harm these government officials did by not informing the American public, not giving them the information they had the right and had deserved to hear. I'm not sure what that is. My job right now is to expose it. I appreciate Secretary Kennedy's commitment to radical transparency. That's why we know about this. We have a lot more documents, a lot more people to interview. So stay tuned. Again, biggest scandal of my lifetime because people weren't warned, they were mandated to take the shot, or they were coerced, or they're convinced without the kind of information they should have had for informed consent. And millions suffered adverse events. At least tens of thousands died after that March 1st date.
So the conspiracy theorists were right again, and these 25 serious adverse events with the COVID vaccine were hidden from the public. They call it masking, but what that is obscuring, which means that it just didn't come up. So let's go over some of these. I'm not a doctor, so it's kind of hard to pronounce some of these things, but these are the neurological side effects. I'll give you guys a second to read through these. Here are some cardiac. Now we know some of these already, the sudden death. Cardiac failure. Then we have some pulmonary. It's causing stroke. And other, here's some more obscure things. But all these side effects you should have been warned about before getting the vaccine, not being told it was 100% safe and effective.
Yeah, I shared that link in the chat with all that information on there. I also shared some of it in the chat of the different things they say some of the side effects, depending on your own body, okay? Because your own body would react differently. See, like me getting the exact same shot that maybe you would get, Chris, I would have different reaction to it because it's how my body absorbed the vaccine, which vaccine I took, if it was the Johnson & Johnson or Pfizer or whatever one that I took, it would be different. Whether I've had boosters, all that different stuff affects your body differently. So when I first started talking to you and I met you through, sorry, I had to burp. Sorry about that. It's embarrassing. But we were talking about the stuff that we were finding out in someone's kitchen with her microscope, right? And I tried to have her on the show a few times, and I got those videos taken down because they said it was medical misinformation and some other stuff like that. But the thing is, all of it is turning out to be coming out. It's coming out truthful. So I don't know how these certain channels are going to handle with this new flow of new information, especially like me just showing what one of our government people is investigating right now. So how could they say that that's not real? But I have played the Surgeon General of Florida on here before and had that taken down as medical misinformation. So it's like they don't have a clue what's true, and they just don't want you to say anything, no matter what it is. Even if it is true, they don't want you to say it. So, it's just really sad that we're not allowed as American citizens to be able to find out the truth for ourselves, because depending on what platform you're listening to, whether or not you're going to be able to get the facts or not. And that's why when you were saying about X coming out and starting to share things, that letting people share more and more information, just like Rumble, okay, you can actually find good information. But, don't believe anyone just because they tell you anything. I tell people, get the information and start looking it up yourself. Go to the library, find out what different words mean if you don't trust the internet. There's so many different places. You can even write stuff down and go and ask your own doctor. What does this mean? What does that mean? I'm sure they'd answer some of your questions for you. You could even go to their websites, because almost every doctor's office now has a website where they have an email thing. So you can send them questions and ask them, say, I'm just wanting to find out a few things or whatever. I used to wear my allergy doctor out by asking tons of questions whenever I got to see him. But I'm one of those kind of people. I'm very inquisitive, wanting to find out as much as I can, to stay informed on no matter what it is, even how to raise chickens. I mean, you know what I mean? I just like to be informed. But all of that stuff to me is important, that like everything that you're doing, each time you get to go there and you get to sit down with these different people, not just what you're getting in the meetings that are like, run by the government or whatever. When you're outside of it, just walking down the road or going from one meeting to another, getting to talk to other people that have different concerns than you do, but they want the facts too. So that makes me feel like there's still hope in the government, that we have people that are still fighting for us to get the truth out.
Okay, well, first off, there actually you can get the information. I've told everybody this before. I'm going to spell it out this time. I don't have a way to type it right now, but if at Campbell, CAMPBELL, teaching, TEACHING, Campbell Teaching on YouTube, okay, is where you'll get your information. Now, who is this guy? 4 of the people who were testifying in the cancer outcome that we've got from all the data now about people taking the vaccine and getting cancer. That was the hearing I attended 2 weeks ago. 4 of those people are regular guests on Dr. Campbell's channel. Mm-hmm. Dr. Campbell is in Carlisle in the United Kingdom. It's a suburb of London. So on there, if you'll go to their site right now, we have the mechanism. And so let me explain about CRISPR-9, which is what they do to make new genetic material. Mm-hmm. And the process that they do to do that, and then what the nanoparticles did once the injections got in us. And then I'll refer to studies that you can find on Campbell's channel and other channels if you'll just Google them or search on YouTube for the main words I'm saying. But the CRISPR-9 is a genetic tool where they take proteins, specific proteins out of things that aren't human, that match human DNA chains, and they cut the DNA chain. They put this piece in there, and then they reconnect it where it would be. So let's say for protein number 16, which is the sex, right? They use mouse genes the same way they humanize mice for research. They turned that back around, and in the vaccine, they were putting mice sex organs in us, right? So one test they did, they shot up a rat. You know, it was the size of a dog. You know, some East Asian rat. And this Indian doctor shoots this rat up and did it live in a MRI where you could see the heart beating and all this other stuff. Man, that rat's balls started glowing in the damn thing, right? It went straight to his testicles. Well, of course, that's what happened to humans. That's example one. All right, so we're talking nanoparticles here. Here's the problem with nanoparticles. They cross the blood-brain barrier, which means that they go through the capillary beds in the brain and get into your brain tissue. Now let's talk about the mechanism of the spike protein. The spike protein attaches to the outside of the cell. Once it attaches to the outside of the cell, it opens up and these altered mRNA strands come in. So then they start replicating using your body. So your CD8, which is a antigen fighting thing in the human immune system, sees that this thing that your body made is a foreign substance. And so it sends white blood cells and all the things that are involved, you know, interferon and all of this other stuff. And it goes and attacks this stuff. It's literally attacking your body. So what did that turn out as? Well, you started having these white clots in people's hearts. Those white clots were the white blood cells attacking these spike proteins that they thought were not part of their body. Okay, so now let's talk about AIDS a minute. When you got acquired immune deficiency syndrome, it did this to cells in your body, and then your body started eating itself. That's what an autoimmune disease is.
Mhm.
So those are the mechanisms of it. The reason it affected the brain was because it crossed the blood-brain barrier. The reason it attacked the testicle. So depending on what you got, right? Moderna didn't build the same DNA chains as Pfizer. Or is you know, Johnson and Johnson, Moderna. They all had their own genetic sequence they used. And then for the group who got that dose, right, they would send out 1 million of them, and they would go to, say, Chicago, and then 1 million to, and you could get, you know, they told you which one you were taking. Well, that 500-page PDF that I'm going to upload next week literally has every gene sequence in it. That's why it's 500 pages, what animal it came from and how it would affect you. And not only that, it's got the antidote for it. So the whole time they knew how to undo this shit, and they didn't tell people, right? They just wanted to sell more vaccines. So
Yeah, I wanted to interrupt you real quick.
for each area, like Chicago that got Moderna, right? Then those people had genetic predispositions that maybe one's a diabetic, maybe one's got sickle cell anemia, maybe one of them is pre-dementia, maybe one of them is prone to get ovarian cancer or testicular cancer or leukemia. Then that accelerated the body's ability to get infected by these secondary diseases because the immune system was so busy fighting these spike proteins that were literally made by the human body, but seemed to the human body to be a foreign object. And so we started eating our own bodies. Listen, the death count on all of this is just going up. For men 25 to 40 heart disease, they're dropping like flies. That came out in the hearing that I did. I would suggest anyone and everyone go visit that. Go to Dr. Campbell's page, Campbell Teaching. There's links to that, to the Senate television company that puts all that on TV. You're available to watch the whole thing. then you can look around Campbell's page, learn more about the people who were worked with him and me since 2020, and then you can get to know those people and how we knew the truth all this time. And I think I mentioned it before. John Campbell and me both were arrested and detained because we told the truth. I mean, that's like a badge of honor. That's how both of us see it. It's like, that's a badge of honor, man. You lock me up for telling the truth. That doesn't say a lot for freedom of speech at all, right?
No.
You let the liars have the microphone and the camera, and then you tell the truth, lock the truth tellers up. That's not freedom of speech.
I shared the link to Dr. Campbell's actual thing where he's talking about this spike protein for his channel. And if you guys go there, there's other videos on his channel too. I shared it in the chat, but I was going to say earlier when you were talking about it, Jackie shared the same video in the other, because I have two different ones going out right now on YouTube. One is for cell phones up and down, and then one is for PC, and that's the one I shared it on, the PC one. But Jackie shared it on the one for cell phones because that's the one she's over on that.
Cool.
That's where she's at. So I just wanted to let you know that did get shared, and so you didn't have to spell it out, but she did that. So I'm thankful to that. But this next one I want to share is what you were talking about, the auto pin part. I want to share this part real quick. It says both Fauci and Hunter Biden were involved with the biolabs in Ukraine. Both Fauci and Hunter Biden were pardoned by Biden in 2014. So pretty interesting. And then it shows you the difference in the two. Here's the two things, the two pictures. See right here?
Yeah.
Okay. This is Fauci's. You see what it looks like? Now look at the one for his son. See the difference? That's why I really do think that this one is going to end up being found. This is the auto pen because it sure looks really professional.
Yeah.
Look at it compared to his son's, which looks like his real signature. So that's why they're still looking into it. And once they get some good forensic scientists in there that will be able to tell us the truth about which one is the auto pen, and if he did use the auto pen, who was in the office with him when Biden used it. See, that's what people got to realize. They're looking into this. So we just have to be patient and let them do their jobs. And
let me tell you something. One of the things I turned in to both the House back in 2024 and to the Senate this go around was an auto pen letter from Joe Biden. Now, the disclaimer on it is Dawn told me, she said, I wrote a letter to the president and he answered it. I said, let me see it. So she showed it to me and I said, I've got to see your letter now. So she put out a very sincere and even medically backed letter to him explaining, you must not know what's going on. This stuff is killing people. And she literally used evidence, right? They send back an auto pen. And I'm telling you that the stuff in that letter, people should go to jail for now because it was blatant lies. And it was after she sent them the proof of what was going on.
yeah,
And they've been blackballing her, man. They try to make her sound like she's crazy as hell. And
remember you two were on my show, okay, before you went.
Yeah.
Then you came back after you went, after you turned everything over. You shared pictures of you out there and out and about in DC and all that stuff. So yeah, I remember because you guys talked about it on here. But remember what happened? They took it out.
Yeah.
They took it down from it. So yeah, I was real upset about that whole thing. Because that's ridiculous. All the stuff that she went through to try to find the truth and then to try to work on something that would help both of you, right? Supplements. To
For
help you.
everybody.
Yeah,
I mean, we didn't even talk about money doing all this,
I
Janet.
know, but she did it to see if you could find a cure. And the way that she did it was using your blood and her blood and a few other people. She didn't have everybody's blood, but she was wanting to help more people. But you had to start somewhere, and she was using you two as your lab rats or whatever you want to call it. But the thing is, she had all that, and she's been documenting it. Like when she said she found that silk worm moth or whatever later, when she'd taken some of the stuff out of her own blood veins, you know what I mean? That type of stuff. She had so much stuff, and she was so passionate about it. I believed everything she was saying, and it's just sad that you guys went through all of that, and that's how you guys were treated. You know what I mean? So that's why I really want to see the truth come out and see people like you redeemed and shown that you were honest all along, that you guys weren't nuts, that you were just trying to get to the truth because you were suffering. Your health is suffering. People you loved were suffering. And that's why I wanted to do as much as I could to try to document it and get it out to as many people as I could, because I believe that the truth needs to be out, and that we, the people, should make the decisions that we feel is best for ourselves, instead of the government trying to make us have to just do whatever they tell us to do, which is bullshit, because I don't believe in that. That's why I live in America. I'm a military brat, and that's why I believe in it. But I also want to play this other video that was right underneath the two things I showed you with the signatures. And I think it's interesting. It's about the biolabs, though. But the biolabs were part of the reasons why we ended up with COVID. I really do believe that.
Janet, let me just give a quick disclaimer for everybody that might be listening. Mm-hmm. I served as a nurse in the military and a flight evac doctor. And I have a research history that goes back to my high school years when I used to work in my father's labs, and I helped out with the HIV research in the 80s. And I also took care of the first patient who ever had computer automated brain surgery. And I was actually working on lung disease associated with black mold over we were trying to get some laws passed in the state of Tennessee. My dad was the epidemiologist, and I was doing research for him on black mold so that they would understand how bad it was. Well, Fauci literally came and testified to the Tennessee Congress that black mold was not a problem in 2008 when we were doing that. But in 2004, he had said to Microbiology magazine that that black mold would always make any kind of respiratory disease you had get worse, like the flu or a head cold or whatever. So he defied his own information. And it was 2017, 9 years later, and we're still trying to get this legislation passed in Tennessee because my niece got black mold infected and almost died. Then I went and moved like an apartment upstairs from her, and I got black mold so bad I had to go in the hospital. So we reopened that case because there was no laws to protect people who rented and got sick from black mold in Tennessee, and we wanted legislation. And it was my research into that led people getting, I guess, the matrix or whatever linked up these students in China who started sending me all of this stuff, and they were saying Fauci's name and showing people dropping dead on the sidewalk and hospitals overflowing and trucks full of bodies in bags and all this shit. Yeah, well, that was in the fall. That was in the fall of 2019. So yeah, the military complex definitely knew what was going on, where it was headed, and the whole vaccine thing. And I don't think people understand is a whole nother animal. It's a whole nother animal. Yep. Anyway, I do have a medical background and I do have a long history in research. So I'm not giving any medical advice here. If people need to go see a doctor, go see a doctor. But the things that I say come from an educated background.
Yeah. So here we go. I'm gonna play this video. So I think it's important, and see what she has to say about the biolabs.
After months of searching through intelligence community holdings and files, today I'm releasing new evidence of longstanding U.S. government funding of more than 120 biolabs in over 30 countries. Now, these biolabs include labs in places like Ukraine, which could be at risk of compromise due to the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war. In fact, the intelligence community had previously warned that a US-funded biolab in Ukraine likely housed dangerous pathogens and remained vulnerable to longstanding threats of Russian attack, seizure, or damage. Now, until now, evidence regarding the full existence and funding of these laboratories had been knowingly withheld from you, the American people. Many of these US government-funded biolabs are currently or have previously engaged in research using hazardous and highly contagious pathogens, and in some cases included dangerous gain-of-function research with very little visibility or oversight. Now, President Trump clearly understands the serious threat dangerous gain-of-function research poses to the American people. And this is why he took decisive action over a year ago. On May 25th, 2025, he signed an executive order to end federal funding of gain-of-function research around the world. Here at ODNI, I issued new guidance to the intelligence community directing increased collection on these laboratories and facilities overseas. And we're already seeing the results of this increased collection. We're learning new details, for example, on clinical trials that are underway at these facilities and that are raising significant ethical, financial, and security concerns regarding the supposed public health initiatives and U.S. national security. Now, despite the obvious potential for catastrophic global impact that research on dangerous pathogens in biolabs can have, politicians and so-called health professionals like Dr. Fauci, as well as entities within the Biden administration's national security team, lied repeatedly to the American people about the existence of US-funded and supported biolabs. Not only did they lie, they threatened those who attempted to expose the truth. So this release today breaks new ground, as the information surrounding the existence, history, locations, and funding of these US-funded biolabs has been intentionally covered up by very powerful people who falsely claimed that these biolabs didn't exist. Now, they accuse anyone who says otherwise to be foreign assets and traitors to America. Now, ODNI will continue working closely with partners across the US government to identify exactly where these labs are and what pathogens they contain to end dangerous gain-of-function research that threatens the health and well-being of the American people and people around the world.
Yay. See, we do have people that care and they're trying to do their job. Now, I did want to say one thing about Tulsi Gabbard. People are saying, well, you can't listen to her. She's not in office anymore. Well, she is. She hasn't stepped down yet. But her husband was diagnosed with a rare form of cancer. And she's wanted to be a good wife to her husband and step down from her job because you saw her on TV all the time because she was working her ass off. And now she's stepping down to be the wife that her husband needs right now. Okay. And she loves her husband. And there's no shame in her trying to be a good wife to her husband. Okay. So I don't want to hear any bashing about her or how Trump fired her or some other bullshit when she's trying to be a good wife. And that's what we need. We need more husbands and wives that are willing to do what they have to take care of their spouse, period. We were really lacking in that department of people that actually give a shit about their husband or wife and to let them go and do their jobs. You know, I remember the stink that was over, it was the Alaskan governor, and she was having marital problems at the time, and her husband like sledded and stuff, dog sledded and stuff. They just never stopped bashing her. Like, you know, she was not doing her job properly, blah, blah, blah. She should never have run, you know, they just can't do it. The same thing with poor Charlie Kirk and his wife. I mean, I have not seen her. they are bashing her on a daily basis, still saying that she killed her husband and she's a slut and a whore and that she'd sleep with anybody for money. You know, it's disgusting. These people that make me sick to my stomach. You can't get out and try to do the right thing for anyone and try to, like me, I have people that say stuff to me. They leave horrible posts for me on my channel and say stuff like, Happy Mother's Day, Janet. It's a shame I can't understand anything you say with Trump's dick in your mouth. I mean, I get stuff like that I should go to another planet, commit suicide. I get tons of terrible hate simply because I'm doing this. That's all I'm doing. Is if you don't like what I say, go to another channel. You don't even have to listen to what I say. That's why I said it to where you have to be subscribed for 5 minutes just to be able to leave something in the chat. So if you want to sit around for 5 or 10 minutes just so you can say terrible shit to me, wow, what a pitiful life you have. I mean, I can honestly say that. And it's pathetic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's really sad. But the thing is, all I want is for everybody to have the freedom to live their life the way they want, not because the government says you have to wear a mask, you have to take this shot, you have to do this, you have to do that. When they exempted anyone that worked for the post office, but they forced our military people to have to get it. You know, how does that weigh fair? I don't see that as fair. That means certain people were allowed to push some people over the bridge, and then others will, we have to coddle these ones. Why? See, that's the stuff I want to find out. And hopefully, sooner or later, we're going to find out why they did this for that person, but didn't do that for anyone else. And when people say, well, they weren't forced. Well, if they tell you that the job that you've had for the last 10 years is going bye-bye next month if you don't get the shot, so you won't be able to pay your house payment, your car payment, or buy groceries for your kids, I'm sorry. I think that's being forced to have to get a jab against your will. To put your family in, live in a vehicle and drive around while you're trying to find another job, that's pathetic to say that isn't being forced. I really think that's disgusting. Those people that would do that. But
well, the underlying thing in what you're talking about right there is what you mentioned in the green room when we were getting ready for the show. And it's like you could go to bars, you could riot, but you couldn't go to church, right? Well, I love me some Sarah Palin. I love me some Tulsi Gabbard and Nancy Mace, right? These are outward, devout Christian women. They get attacked so hard and so bad, it's unreal. And these were ceiling breakers, okay? First graduate from Citadel, right? An Air Force pilot, right? These are women really made it in life, and they get abused so bad it's ridiculous, man. Right? But it's the Christian bad angle in there, and it's just amazing to me, right? Christians who were against the Roman Catholic Church and their oppressive rule broke with the Church of England and came to this country so that a Muslim could worship right on the same street where a Christian did. And now the Christians they're trying to run us out. When we set this utopian freedom and liberty and let your neighbor live his life and you live yours, we don't have that anymore.
Well, we never had it if you actually read the Quran.
All right, well, I want to throw something in.
The Quran can say the people that follow that religion, okay, in the Quran says you can lie to infidels. So you can tell an infidel whatever you want without being, getting in trouble with your religion.
That's right. It's called tequila.
But a Christian can't do that. A Christian can't say, "Oh yeah, come on in. We're gonna treat you just like any other Christian, and we're gonna let you have our 9-year-old girls to marry. We're gonna let you do all." We wouldn't do that shit. We tell the truth.
This is what I wanted to throw in. If you look at Nancy Mace's personal YouTube page and Representative Nancy Mace, those are the two addresses.
Yeah.
She posted on both of those this week where Congress, and my point is, this is what we're up against. 357 elected House of Representatives voted down a bill where they were going to reveal the names and amounts of members of Congress who had molested or physically have sexually assaulted people at the Capitol, and they used taxpayer money to pay them. 357 of our representatives voted that bill down.
Yeah, non-disclosures, because I groped her or I pulled her down on my lap and I just said, here's $100,000, sign this and don't talk about it again.
Yeah, those are the same people that excused themselves from the vaccine and mandated it. You couldn't go to school. I was up in New York City, and this guy, it was right in the middle, right, of all that. And there was no one in downtown. I went to this favorite place I used to go to where there was always a line on Friday at lunch. It's Friday at 1 o'clock. I get a parking space across the street from the door. So you can see it. And the doorman asked me when I came in, I was with GW's girl. She was up there at some rehab place in New Jersey. And I went to visit her. So I took her to the city, and we go over here to the Cat's Deli. And the guy at the door goes, "Do you have a passport?" And I threw on my sickest Tennessee drawl I could put on. I said, "Passport? Boy, I don't need no passport. I'm from Tennessee. You can look and see on my tag right there. I'm parked right across the street." And he started laughing so hard that they let me in. And there were people in there in a restaurant, right, got masked. I'm like, they would take it off and take a bite, put the mask back on and chew it up. I'm like, you people can't be serious. You can't be serious. And you want me to have a passport to come eat? Get the fuck out of my way. I'm going in there.
Yeah,
and he laughed.
Terrible. It was terrible.
Yeah, it was horrible. That shit was horrible.
Yeah, it was really messed up. But I want to share this with you real quick, because I believe that we're going to find out that all of this fraud that we're finding out with Medicare, Medicaid, and other ways of doing things with your health, right, is all going to end up being connected with the fraud with COVID. Like we were talking about before we started, about the hospitals getting a bonus for every person that was diagnosed with COVID, like car accidents, victims coming in and they died from COVID. They didn't die from blunt force trauma to the head, that kind of shit. That I had lots of friends that work in the medical field that said that happened a lot in hospitals, that nobody was dying from the flu anymore. Everyone died from COVID. It's pretty pathetic, but I really do. I'm going to wait. I am patient, because I really do think that more and more and more of this is going to end up saying, well, we use this to help us with that, and this was linked together, and it's all intertwined. The same people were using the same forms to fill out and do this that way or whatever. It's all going to end up being linked together. But I want to play this because I think it's going to end up being linked. But it says mass arrests have been reported. The DOJ has charged 324 defendants, including 96 medical professionals across 50 federal districts and 12 state attorney general's offices, in connection with health care fraud schemes involving over 14.6 billion with a B in alleged losses. So I want you guys to listen to this shit.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Matthew Gagliotti, and I'm the head of the Justice Department's Criminal Division. Thank you all for joining us today as we announce the largest coordinated healthcare fraud takedown in the history of the Department of Justice. Today marks a decisive moment in our fight to protect American taxpayers from fraudsters and to defend the integrity of America's healthcare system. We are announcing today charges against 324 defendants for their alleged participation in healthcare fraud schemes involving approximately $14.6 billion in false claims submitted to Medicare, Medicaid, and other healthcare programs. Good morning, everyone.
So I just
My
wanted
name
to
is
share
Matthew.
that because I really do think it's all going to end up being connected. But that is a shit ton of people that they've arrested. And all I hear is how this administration hasn't done shit. Nobody's been arrested. Nobody, this, that, and the other. Nobody's doing shit. You know, I hear that all the time when I'm seeing hundreds of arrests every day because of a FBI and other different government agencies working with their sheriff's departments and stuff for trafficking humans, drug running, fraud. I mean, just tons of stuff. People are being arrested left and right. But you have to let the states be involved in it. Okay. We are not being run by a king. We don't have a king that just says, send in my soldiers to take whoever that I don't like, you know, that kind of stupid shit. I hear people saying that all the time. He writes too many executive orders. A king does that. He needs to use, you know, the laws. And well, how do you have that happen when you don't have a Congress that's doing anything? They can't pass the SAVE Act. They can't do shit for Trump to sign. So he has to write an executive order. But what happens when Trump is no longer president and we have a Democrat going to do exactly what they did when they set Biden down in front of the press, and he's writing executive orders to get rid of all of Trump's executive orders, get rid of the pipeline, get rid of this, get rid of everything that he'd worked tirelessly to do every single day because we had a lame ass Congress that we still have because it's so many rhinos in there. It should be illegal for a person to run saying they are a conservative when they're everything they do proves they're not, that they are a liberal. I think that's bullshit. I wish that we could, I don't know. I wish people would care in their state and say, you fucking turd. We voted for you. We paid for you. We sent you there and you didn't do jack shit for the people that you said you were going to do stuff for in our state. We're still sitting here with no water. Our forests are burning down, blah, 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 whatever shit that they didn't do, and blame them for it instead of saying, oh, it's all Trump's fault. Well, guess what? Trump can't do it by himself. Okay. We put him in there, but we also put in these other people that were running for office on Trump's coattails. And now they're just sitting there going, sucking their damn thumb or sucking somebody else's dick or whatever it is they're doing. They're not doing what we put them there to do.
Yeah, there's a huge investigation going on into the corruption of the recent California election. And there's a lot of information coming out from whistleblowers about what they did. And there's about to be a change in that. So, yeah, I'm in total agreement with you. Things are getting done. This is why I like these kind of chats on social media and why I like most of the news outlets that have the really best information that you can listen to. Everybody that works there has a degree in law, and they know what can happen to them from their other rich friends, because lawsuits are the sport of kings, that if they say something they can't back up with facts, they don't say it, right? Well, we talked about this at the beginning of this chat. When people say that the truth tellers are the propagandists, what it means is that they're not using their own critical thinking, and they, in fact, are the ones that listen to the propaganda, and it's just basically lies. Like, they literally lie on The View. But it's freedom of speech, right? And if it wasn't for us that were telling the truth, that find the facts, bring the documents, have the hearings in Congress, have the hearings in the Senate and the House, and go to give information to intel officers when something's really dangerous for the citizens of the country, right? Those people that were doing all this work, I wasn't the only one. Like John Campbell wasn't the only one. But he was not afraid like I wasn't afraid. And I got thrown off Facebook. I think I got the record for being in Facebook jail during all of this. I've been through 4 or 5 Twitter accounts, and I don't even have one that's working right now over basically the same kind of shit. They'll cancel you if you tell the truth.
Yeah,
But then they
I'm on my
let
fourth
TV
one.
shows, they lie like hell on these TV shows. The newscasters, they get their news from Iran, China, and Russia. And I had AI give me the facts on that. Where are the documents? Where's this? Where's that? And the AI spelled it totally out. So CNN and NBC and all of them are parroting the propaganda that comes from our three biggest enemies. I don't care how you slice it. There should be a line on freedom of speech, because treason is not there. You can't commit treason and then go, I got freedom of speech. No, that doesn't count. When you commit treason, you give up your civil rights, all of them. And you generally will give up your life, because you'll end up with a life sentence. And we have treason. Treason went on all throughout the Biden administration entirely. And those same treasonous actors are trying to derail Donald Trump's presidency right now. And they use the information that comes out of our worst sworn enemies that would love to see this country break out into a civil war. And that's what they're working towards.
Yeah, I can't remember what her name is, but they were interviewing in Congress. They were asking one of those groups were asking her all these questions, and I think it's to do with fraud, because there's so many of them with fraud. And they were asking her all these questions, and everything she would say is, I have to plead the fifth or whatever. Every single answer, that's all she said. So I'm just saying, how can somebody sit there and say that for every single thing and not look guilty?
Yeah, but the SPLC's taking charges right now. And they just blew out Antifa. I don't know if you know about this, but they just arrested most of the heads of Antifa and charged them with treasonous activities.
Yeah, I saw some of that. I'm definitely going to be talking about all that tomorrow night on the shit show.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's a lot of stuff. But that's why I just pulled out everything from about COVID, the biolabs and stuff like that for tonight, because it's just so much. I mean, we just have so much
It's
stuff.
a lot. Yeah.
But the thing is, you have to stay informed if you want to know what's going on, if you want to hear, because I can go and sit at a space, okay, in the morning when I'm having coffee, and I'll have my conspiracy theorist friends, which I still are friends with, because they're not always a conspiracy. Because look, a lot of this stuff I was called a conspiracy theorist, right? Well,
Yeah.
Some of them will say, Hillary's dead. All these people are dead. They just have clones of them running around because they've already been taken out at Gitmo. And, there's just so many stories like that kind of stuff that I'm like, yeah, whatever. I don't believe that shit, But I do believe some, and I lean towards this way or that way. But I keep saying I'm going to give Trump 4 years, just like Biden had. Trump has 4 years to prove to me that all the things that he said, whether or not it's true or not. And I got that much time. But the difference is when Biden was in there, his people were like getting shit done. They were sending stuff to his desk every week. He seemed like he was signing something. And even the Republicans were doing it. But now, look how many people are voting no. That we can't even get it. The registered Democrats that say they're Republicans to even pass the SAVE Act, and they have enough of the numbers are there, but we can't get them off their ass, or to have a spine or something, or balls or whatever it takes. They don't have it, because we put a bunch of pussies in there that are too afraid of the Democrats. Oh, they're gonna call me some names, It's fucked up. It just pisses me off so bad. And see, that's why I had to do all those disclosures at the beginning of the show, because I just get so fucking mad. I can't help it. I don't mean to, but damn, it just pisses me off.
Yeah, I saw why there's a reason that won't pass. And I swear to God, I've had a busy week and a lot's been going on, and I can't remember exactly what it is. But Trump has something tied to the SAVE Act that really doesn't have anything to do with the SAVE Act, but it's something that he's trying to get through, and it's got something to do with money he's trying to use for something.
Yeah, I saw how they were combining it, but I think today they took certain things away from it, and I think they got it ready to pass. So hopefully by tomorrow we'll see him saying, "Hey, they're bringing it to his desk or whatever." I'm praying.
Well, I hope that's true. I get up at like 2 in the morning or 3 in the morning, depending on when I go to sleep, and I watch all those Senate hearings.
We'll just have to wait and see. Because remember, I've had people telling me that they can't understand a word I say because I got Trump stick in my mouth, which I would never do. But that's somebody's point of view. It's pretty sickening. But here's the next thing I had to pull up was. Sorry, I can't help it.
Fuck them. I mean, fuck them. They can leave. That's the best thing about liberty. You don't have to listen to shit if you don't like it.
Watch me. I don't care
fuck
if you watch
off.
me. I'm not getting paid. So, I'm just doing this because I think it's important. But
That's right.
I thought this was pretty interesting. This young kid, he seems to, I can't stand his hair, but something about it just so messy or whatever, but he likes it. He feels good about it. So, more power to him. But I thought this was interesting about the doomsday plan. So I wanted to play this for you guys. I don't know if any of you guys know who he is. This was off TikTok, and I'm on TikTok, but this is an interesting point of view I thought you guys would want to hear.
But let's play this clip real quick, Deep, because again, this was released on February 7th, 2020. So over a month before the pandemic started, which was obviously a world-changing event and all that. And Douglas Rushkoff is talking about some very candid conversations he has had with people who I would describe as very separated from the realities of the average person. Let's run it.
Yeah, I was invited to do what I thought was a talk to like bankers or something at a resort. And instead of me going out on stage to do a talk, they brought these 5 guys into the green room who started peppering me with all these questions about the digital future, Bitcoin or Ethereum and augmented reality or virtual reality. I figured it was one of these things where it's just these 5 billionaires looking for, investment strategies from someone who's on the ground in the cyber revolution. And eventually they got around to the question of, Alaska or New Zealand. Right? So they wanted to know mainly how to prepare for the inevitable collapse of society. And the question we spent most of the time on was, how do I maintain control of my security force after the event? Because their money's going to be worthless and these guys will turn on them. And it just struck me that here are the wealthiest and most powerful men I've ever encountered, yet they feel utterly powerless to influence the digital future, that the best they can do is prepare for the inevitable collapse and, insulate themselves from the reality that they're creating by earning money in the way they're earning it. And it was sad, but it was indicative of the way these folks are thinking. The high-level billionaires like the Elon Musks and Jeff Bezos, they want to get off the planet altogether, really just leave us behind. But the mid-level billionaires who can't afford rocket ships, they want to build, bunkers and secret communities and get robot guards and guards protect themselves from the rest of us. They really think that this is where it's going, or at least they're convinced enough that they're putting in 20-30% of their wealth into these survivalist scenarios, and it's a dark place for us to have gotten. Particularly the people who are building the technological infrastructure.
Yeah, and I think your conclusion to that was.
So this last part we're going to watch of this right here, this is in a nutshell, to me, just encapsulates the complete separation from reality. And I would argue, at the very least, a basic human decency or straight up lack of humanity that some of, and I'm not labeling all people, some of these elites, seemingly the ones that he's talking with, have of all of us. Let's play it.
So I copied that link and I put it in the chat just now, so that any of you want to go to TikTok and see this guy and follow him. He has tons of videos like that. Very, very interesting. And they're young. So we have young people that are actually looking in to these weird thoughts. Because just think about it. What would happen to Bezos or any of these guys if money is worthless, if money is not important anymore? Okay. But hunting, fishing, growing your own food, all those things, are finding fresh water, how to get fresh water, all those survival things end up being number one. Just like when you watch like some of these zombie TV shows or zombie movies, how these people make these huge groups of people and they're trying to take care of each other without being killed by the zombies, but having to be able to, find fish and deer and, do things to feed the people, to rebuild what was lost, right? So those people, these are the richest people in the world. That's what they're worried about. They're worried about my security people, the ones who guard me every day with guns, whatever, with fighting or whatever it takes, them turning on the rich guy because now he's worthless. He has money, means nothing. So what does this guy have? He can't cook. He can't sew. He can't build. He has no skill. Okay. Besides whatever it was that he used to make all the money. So to me, when I tell people, go hiking, learn how to fish, learn how to clean fish, learn how to raise rabbits, learn how to raise chickens, have backyard chickens, have a goats, so you have goat milk. All these things may one day be worth more money than having $1 million in the bank. And I've been saying this for many, many years, that people should have some skills that you can do if you have to barter. I can sew, I can make this, I can make beef jerky, I can do a lot of things. And I think that if something did happen to society, that I think that I would be able to defend myself for one, but also help rebuild, because I know how to do a lot of skills and I'm willing to train people how to do certain things so that they could take care of their own families. But I think that's important. And it's sad that we live in the strongest country in the world and we don't do any of those skills anymore in school to teach kids, how to cook and clean and sew and, fix things that are broken, all that. We don't teach that in school anymore. It used to be called, I think, home economics. And then there was shop and agri and other different things they used to teach in schools, because kids needed to know that this is what you have to do when you move out on your own. You have to be able to cook for yourself, wash your clothes, clean up after yourself. But we're not preparing our kids for anything. How to do anything. They're living with mom and dad till they're 40 years old, so I don't know. I just thought that was really interesting. And to me, it ties in a little bit with a lot of the things that we're seeing unfold. The truth is coming out, but the direction that they were wanting to push us to live in 15-minute cities, to be totally controlled by them. Because you are a dumbass peon that doesn't know how to do anything for yourself. So you need us, the smart ones, to tell you how to live your life and what's best for you, that type of thing. And I hate that. I don't need anyone to tell me what to do. I know how to do stuff. I mean, if I have to go dig holes in the ground to make money, I can do that too. I mean, I might not be as good as that person over there because, I've never done that before, and I might break a fingernail or something, but I'm willing to try to make money for myself so I can take care of myself. So I don't know. I just thought that this video really made me think about What are these people really wanting from us peons, us little ants that are meaningless fleas or whatever? And they have everything. But when the money's gone, what do they have? I mean, if you think about it, what do you think about the video, Chris?
Well, I love it that young people are getting involved, and I'm around a lot of kids, you know, late 20s all the way up to their, 50 years old, which that's 15 years younger than me. And I'm really proud of what I'm seeing going on. But on that specific topic that he's on, I mean, just a little background history. I worked for a man whose family basically funded the space shuttle program. I just assisted him, helped him. That was during that time James Brown was in jail. I did it for about 2 years. And then after I got out of the military and got back with James Brown, I was part of a thing called Res Rocket. And we were actually live writing music with different people all over the world. We even did the first ever live songwriting thing on a Sony podcast in 1996, and 12 million people watched it. But Richard Branson financed all of that, and he and I got kind of friendly during that time and met in the Jazz Festival in New Orleans, where you're from. And then I became friends and literally worked with Elon Musk. I have always had a huge interest in not so much the space travel, but what are we compared to this whole universe? Well, maybe a couple of years ago, we noticed that Neptune flipped over on its side. Then we started seeing a lot of volcanoes and cracking of crust and all that kind of stuff, and changes in the outer atmosphere, changes in the polar regions of Mars and some of the other planets, where everybody's like, what the hell's going on? Well, we've known what's going on, but it isn't really part of the narrative, if you will. So when you look out at the Milky Way at night and you see that white cloudy stuff, that's called the galactic sheet. And we're actually in our revolutions around the center of the Milky Way. We go 24,000 miles an hour in a rotation. We go 67,000 miles an hour in our solar system. But when the solar system, I mean, the planetary system, right? The solar system, but to the galaxy, we're going over 190,000 miles an hour. So we have all these three motions going on in the big galactic picture, and we're crossing one of those clouds right now. And it's finally started for us to where the Earth is starting to reach these particles that are in the atmosphere, and they alter magnetic fields, and they alter Schumann resonances, which is how much electricity is in the atmosphere. When the Schumann resonance is up, the murder rate goes up, and all this other shit, even the lunar cycle has to do with that. Well, we're seeing all this going on. So the young kids are right and the old kids are right. But if you're not preparing for this, you're really messing up, because the data that we're getting now is that the magnetic field is flipping. And when it flips, there's going to be a period of time where technology completely dies, which who gives a shit where the money is at that point? You can't use an ATM card, and you can't even dial a cell phone number, right? If you don't have a ham radio or something. And even then, what's the power grid going to do, right? So that's our common enemy. And even Elon has backed away from populating Mars and putting a station up there for people to live, and he's focusing on mining what's on the moon, right? So in the end, where I'm coming from, we don't know what's going to happen when this occurs, right? We have no idea. And I don't like to talk about things that make people have fear or any of that other stuff. But if you don't look at the possibility of having no technology at all in today's world, which means the water pumps won't pump from the pumping stations. If you don't have a river or a creek, you won't have water, right? And go down the line. And so, as you said, survival skills are becoming more and more imperative. They say at least by 2050, we will be in the brunt of the magnetic pole shift. I don't know if I'll be alive then. I'd be 91, I think, if I live to then.
Yeah.
But if you're not ready for that, right? So and even if you pile your cash up, your cash is going to be of no use to you, right? But no one just keeps cash anymore. Nobody does that. So yeah, we're facing something that is going to shock the world into a new age. No one at NOAA, like this discussion I'm having right now, and Ben Davidson, who runs Suspicious Observers, we used to get canceled and thrown offline for all of this stuff. And all we were doing was getting the data from NOAA and NASA and then putting it out so people could see the truth. So people who have been around the whole 20 years that me and Ben have been talking about all this as public people, not as government officials, but just as public people, where we wanted to inform the people. And right now, everybody's really, really behind on what this means. I mean, you save food, get canned food, do all this. You still got to go out and get firewood and cut all that, right? So
Yeah, see,
why
that's one of the
I
things that
agree with this comment that comes up right here.
Yeah.
You're either going to survive that or you're not going to survive it, and it's nothing to fear. And the whole team humanity and collective consciousness thing that me and Elon and Brian Ramel and Scoble, Robert Scoble, and a lot of people that we got elected in the last couple of cycles are all behind this, that we just need to stop the wars and all that stuff and try to populate and get the birth rate back up, because we don't know where the major human losses are going to be. But it's going to happen. Imagine a city like New York with 12 million people when they can't flush a toilet or the food runs out or some of this other stuff. And you and I both live on land and have had farms and all this other stuff. And we have that land rich mentality. But I'm in and out of huge major cities where I'm downtown in the cities where the thousands of apartments are and all this other stuff. That event that I'm talking about will not be the same for those people as it is for those of us who live in the South and have abundant land to raise food and do these other things. So I'm not trying to cause fear about all of that. I'm just giving you the fact that there is a reason in the scientific community that we talk about that those skills aren't just imperative. It's a matter of surviving the next 4 or 5 decades of life on Earth.
But the thing is, like what I was going to say, but what Shadow had just mentioned, is that it isn't so much us, okay? It's our kids and our grandchildren. So if you take your kids hunting, or you take your kids fishing, or your grandkids hunting or fishing or camping, and you show them what's out there and how to survive, if they had to, like my dad was jungle survival. So I grew up with it and I loved it. My 4 sisters didn't, but he showed me how to pick fiddleheads, which are the teeny tiny baby ferns that are starting to come out of the ground. Cattails, when you pick them when they're green off of a lake, you can boil them up and eat them just like corn on the cob. I mean, there's tons of stuff out there that you can live off of, put in the freezer, poke salad, but you have to cook it properly. There's lots of stuff like that. And honey, if you know where some real beehives are, there's just so many things out there that are edible that you can eat, and where the animals are at, how to tell where rabbits' burrows are at, all these different things. And if you're teaching your children and their children, then they'll be prepared. If something ever did happen, they would be able to take care of themselves. Okay. And if you have friends and they know how to do that, then you'll have a group of people that can work together and survive. But what's going to happen is the people in the cities are going to fight and scratch and kill each other off until they leave the cities and then come out to where you are. But you will be surrounded with other people like you that know how to grow food, know how to take care of their stuff. And those are the people that I think are going to end up winning it over, because they're not so much relying on all the things in the city compared to what we have. And what we're able to do out here in the country. So that's what I'm saying. It's gonna be the survival of the fittest. It's gonna be the people that can work together with others, help each other and be willing to help each other, barter, whatever it takes. It's not going to be the big guy that runs the mafia that's going to be able to do everything. Unless you've got more weapons, well, then maybe you'll be able to blow your way through it. But after you've killed everyone that knows how to do some of these things, who's going to be able to do it for them? See? So that's all we're trying to say is when it does happen, and if it does happen, who's going to know how to do anything if you don't share what you know with your kids and their kids, that type of thing. It's the same thing.
Let's address the population. Let's address the population issue and go back to what I was saying about land. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, picture your New York skinny jean, whatever they call them, that could be a boy or a girl or any of that other shit, right? All right. That's one problem right there. They don't have anything it takes. But here's the bigger problem. In the Civil War, the population of the United States of America was 32 million, and 600,000 people died. All right, now that was over states' rights. But in this conflict that is going to arise from an earth issue, a catastrophe, which we know this catastrophe cycle is coming, now we have 328 million people. And if they're the same numbers apply, let alone the people who are killed by the actual event, whether it's a solar flare or floods or whatever it is, we have no idea. We just know from the archaeological record and the current readings that we have that these things are going to happen, right? 60 million people would die in the conflict of trying to survive if the numbers equal what happened in the Civil War. Now, I don't know what you know, but I actually saw like the aftermath of the Desert Storm, and there was 500,000 dead Iraqis out there, and the disease went crazy. Okay, so then you got that problem to look at. You got no sanitation, no water, and all these things. So, yeah, the population, land availability, and the actual, I mean, think about a 14-year-old kid in 1852 who was going with his family on the way to California, right? These kids did not wear tight jeans. They shoveled horse shit and hunted squirrels with a 22 to help get food for the family. And they fought Indians or whatever was going on, whether it was the Spanish coming out of Mexico. Everyone was fighting for land and the right to survive. Not much different, but we've not had anything like survival. Okay. Survival is basically goes on in Skid Row and Seattle, where they give people drugs, right, that the government pays for to ruin their fucking life, right? And then gets millions of dollars from the government to say they're going to take care of these people, and they don't take care of them. Those people are living in survival right now, and the government put them there, right? Yeah, their own decisions to shoot drugs or do whatever they're going to do. I always go back to the same thing. Every human on this planet has got to get in a place where they just live by doing the next right thing, whatever that is in the moment. Because people spend so much time building chaos and drama and stress, whether it's marriages, at work, social media, whatever they're doing. And we can't expect our leaders, quote, end quote, to lead us out of this mess. they have proven over and over and over that their agenda is the almighty dollar, control. They want to control us. They want to control this, control that. And it's like a train out of control coming down a mountain into a big city. You better get everybody out of the way. You're not going to stop the train. Right. So that is, we're up against so much more. And when I simplify things, it probably sounds complicated to other people, but history repeats itself. And the histories that we're discussing in this section of our talk tonight is archaeological history that's gone on for thousands of years of human existence, where these records have been kept, where civilizations like the Mayan and the Aztec and the Egyptian and the Sanskrit Indians back in the days of Gilgamesh, and Rome and Byzantine Empire that went down, right? Yeah. And all of these people basically got control of the whole world. And right when they did, the shit hit the fan, right? Well, here we are, and we're under Pax Americana. And that means the peace of America. And it literally got translated up from Pax Romana when the Caesar and the emperors of Rome controlled the whole world like that. But it gets so big you can't control it anymore. And if you look at every one of these civilization collapses, it was during one of these global catastrophe events where Mother Earth spit back at mankind. You know, we are the children of Mother Earth. When God said he picked up clay and formed man and then breathed life into him, these bodies that we live in that have to live with Mother Earth because that's what we're made out of, and we don't respect the earth, and we don't respect those spirits that got blown into us either for the most part. I get aggravated at the modern Christianity. Okay, I quit going to church when the church I went to my whole life got a lesbian minister. Okay, fine. If everybody wants to go listen to that shit, that's all fine and dandy. But I live on a more level plane than that, right? I mean, pick what you want to be and then be that.
Yeah. Well,
right. Homosexuality is not a thing to me. Was in my family. Bisexuality, all that stuff, and then I'm like, keep your shit over there. I don't see that, and it's not a part of my life, and it never looked like anything I wanted to do or try. And I've seen all those people have died early, drug addiction, alcoholism, suicide, some of them, AIDS, a couple of them. It's like, damn, if you walk on a high wire, you got a higher risk of losing your life. They just in South America this week, 2 guys that ran a bungee jumping site picked a girl up over their head and threw her off the side, and there was no bungee cord attached.
Yeah, I know.
How can some shit like that happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
We trust people. We do this, we do that, we take risks. Well, I mean, people that do that crazy sex game. After spring break, 46,000 people that were in Houston tested positive for syphilis. Syphilis ain't no joke. There's no cure for that shit. And your face starts popping off, your lips fall off, your gums, your teeth fall out, and you literally rot like you got leprosy or some shit, and it drives you insane. You lose your mind because it gets inside your brain. Mm-hmm. Right. And this is what we're living in right now. Right. Relationships between healthy people are gone. Why is that true? It's true because people get on social media and air all their dirty laundry. And you got a small number of women who are appeasing a bunch of young men, and none of them have any moral values. And if you see what they put on TikTok, and then they complain, where's the good men? Where's the good women? It's like, we're over here hiding from you crazy motherfuckers. That's what we're doing.
Yeah. But the thing is that people don't want, what I see is that people don't want to do the work anymore.
Right.
A guy would rather go down the street to Walmart or one of those other stores and buy a bouquet of flowers than what they used to do, where they just go out on the side of the road and pick some. and then take them to her and then say, I love you, or you mean everything to me, or whatever it is, right? They don't make any effort. It's so easy just to get at something someone else did and then hand it to them, or get a card. And most of the time they don't even sign it. They just hand it to them, or just take her for a walk and hold hands and talk about the way you used to feel, or that you wish you could feel that way again, or any of this shit. Go out in the middle of a field and grab her and dance with her and sing to her. Don't be embarrassed, because it's just you two. She's not going to laugh at you. She's going to probably start crying and say, I've been waiting, 20 years for you to do this, that kind of stuff. I don't know why the romance is gone. It's sad that nobody wants to work at anything. It's just easier to go through the drive-through than to go buy the stuff, cut it up, and make a real meal for the person you care about. Things like that. People just don't want to do it. I don't know why. And it's sad that that's where we are. But when we don't teach our kids how to treat another person, why do we think it's going to last? Just like
That's
I said,
all part of the Alinsky takedown, and that's a whole show for a whole nother time. We can talk for hours.
Yeah, if you don't share what you know with your children and try to get your child to be able to do it themselves, then who do you think's going to teach your kids? The schools, the colleges? Is that what we want? It's not what I want. I'm hands-on, just like my mother was with me. And I do it because I want my mother to be proud of me, and I want to live the best life I can as a mother, as a daughter, as a good neighbor, a good Christian, all those things, and try to do the best I can each day when I get up. My dad always said, get up every day and make your bed, because if you make your bed, you've accomplished something today. And then you can't look at yourself, oh, I'm such a failure, I haven't done anything. Well, you did. You made your bed today. You started out doing something. So keep doing that through the day. And then when you go to bed, pat yourself on the back saying, hey, man, I did pretty good. I didn't get everything I wanted done, but I did a lot. I did this and I did that, and I tried to help this person, or I tried to help that, or I saved a chicken. I have people that bring me chickens they find on the side of the road that fell off a Tyson truck, and I try to take care of them and give them at least a good 6 months to a year of life that they wouldn't have had if they ended up at the factory, right? Just, any little thing that you think you can do to help yourself. And even if you're just walking through the store and you look over and you see a person, smile. Say hello or whatever. You might be the only person that said something to that person today. Just simple stuff that doesn't cost you a dime.
Next right thing. That's the next right thing. That's the path. Just one thing at a time.
One day at a time.
Yeah, one day at a time. That's right.
And that's how I try to live. I try to live my life each day because, I do plan. I'm saying I save money so I can pay my bills, things like that. But each day, I just try to enjoy as much of each day as I can. From the moment I wake up to the time I go to bed, I try to get as much out of every day that I possibly can. Learn, because you can never too old to learn. I don't care who you are. You can learn something new today.
I learn something new every day.
I like to just go into different channels and sit and listen to what they're talking about, because sometimes I'm like, wow, I never heard of this. I never heard about that. I've never seen anybody do this, that type of stuff. And I learned something. And I can do that while I'm crocheting, or while I'm washing dishes, or doing laundry, or mopping, whatever. You can still listen to other people. So to me, there's very good stuff out there if you're just willing to turn it on. And it doesn't even have to be something that you normally see every day. Don't go watch a rerun of some stupid show that you've already seen 5 times. Go see something new, something you haven't done. And you don't know what you're going to get out of it until you try it. But I had this one last thing I wanted to share. I think everyone knows of Catherine Hetheridge, right? So I have something that she shared. I think it's important for this whole show that we've been doing about COVID and certain things that have happened, and as it's unfolding and more information is coming out. So I wanted to share this, and I'm going to share the link. Let me start it over again. I'm going to share the link for everyone. So you, when you want, if you don't want to stay and watch the whole thing with us, you can go watch it at your leisure. But I think it's informative, especially if you haven't seen it before or even a snippet of it. And you don't have to watch it if you don't want to either. I mean, you can always go to the next channel or whatever if you want. But I think it's important that we try to listen, at least for a little bit, for many different topics, so that we aren't missing out on something, because you don't know. If you never hear it, you don't know you miss it until you hear someone else talking about it. Well, I never heard of that, and that happens a lot, because I have 4 sisters, and a lot of the stuff that I end up sharing with them, they're like, I never heard of that before. So I feel like, wow, I'm helping a few people, at least 4 of my sisters, at least, hear something that they hadn't heard. But I want to share this with you a little bit and see what you guys think, because I don't think a lot of you have even heard of this. But here we go.
This week on Straight to the Point, new reporting on COVID vaccine injury in the U.S. military. My first investigation as an independent journalist revealed a soldier's debilitating heart condition was linked by this Army memo to the COVID vaccine. Getting this acknowledgement, what's called a service connection, is extremely rare.
I am 24 years old. I have had 3 heart attacks, a mini stroke, and I am now getting a pacemaker.
What's to blame?
The COVID vaccine. And that's when everything flipped upside down for me.
So is this Army memo an acknowledgement that your heart condition is the result of the COVID vaccine?
It 100% is.
Were you left behind by the Army and the National Guard?
I was left behind and trampled.
Even with the new administration, some service members and advocates say there is still a reluctance to link these life-altering conditions to the military's COVID vaccine mandate, and that impacts access to healthcare and benefits. So let's get straight to the point.
I shared it in
Is your advocacy
the link in the chat.
It is. I'm a previously healthy mother of 2 young kids and a preschool teacher. At the beginning of the pandemic, I was all in with the measures. So when the call came to vaccinate ourselves to help get us all out of the pandemic, it wasn't a matter of if I was going to get it, it was when. I decided to enroll in the clinical trial here in the United States. So yeah, I got my one and only shot November 4th, 2020. And within an hour, I started having tingling and burning down the same arm as my injection. And then it moved to my other arm, and then to my legs, then to my head, and to this day, 5.5 years later, I still have that painful, prickling, tingling, burning sensation surging through my body every minute of every day.
What makes COVID vaccine injured service members stand out?
In our membership, we have an inordinate number of military service members because the younger population were somehow impacted at a higher rate than older people. And so the people that we deal with the most are people that were hit and struck down at the prime of their life, just barely starting families, just barely getting out of college. These are not people that are going into retirement.
Based on your experience, is there still a reluctance to acknowledge COVID vaccine injury?
Yes. Yes, I think at all levels. I think there's a reluctance in the biomedical community. There's a reluctance in institutions that, in my view, inappropriately mandated these vaccines. The group that probably has more adverse reaction from these vaccines, in my clinical experience, are younger people. And those are the people that clearly didn't need to be vaccinated.
Robert Redfield is the former director of the CDC under President Trump at the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. Based on the science, was the COVID vaccine mandate for the U.S. military under the Biden administration the right call?
No, there was no scientific justification for it whatsoever. I argue it was an emotional decision made by some of our leaders at the time, that they said that if you vaccinated everybody, it would stop the pandemic.
Why is it that in your experience, you see young people with some of the most severe reactions to the vaccine?
Because they have a more intact, rigorous immune system. And it's the immune system that's driving this. It's a pro-inflammatory response that's driving all the complications.
We profiled soldier Carolina Stancic.
Yeah.
She has a debilitating heart condition. She told us about 3 heart attacks, a mini stroke, and a pacemaker at 24. Is her case typical of young women who have a COVID vaccine injury?
Yes, unfortunately, this cardiac issue it's pretty broad, and we only hear about myocarditis, but we still have yet to identify these types of strokes. These are presenting very different than previous issues.
In 2023, soldier Carolina Stancic got this memo, and it connects her debilitating heart condition to her service, what they call in the line of duty. Is this memo an acknowledgement that Carolina Stancic's heart condition is linked to the COVID vaccine?
It's as good as an acknowledgement as anyone is going to be able to get.
Is it hard to get your COVID vaccine injuries linked to your service?
It is near impossible. You've got to have the right timing on your diagnosis. You've got to have the right condition. You have to have the right level of severity. And then you've got to have this land into the right hands.
So you've only seen a memo like this for a service member who thinks they're COVID vaccine injured twice.
Twice.
That's it.
That's it.
And you've seen hundreds, if not thousands of
Yes.
cases.
Yes.
Does this memo, is it more than just a military document? Is it acknowledgement and recognition?
Yes, documents like this are incredibly important. They help with disability. They also help the veteran themselves. Just instead of having to constantly fight for recognition and validation, they've got a document. So when they go to a doctor, whether it's inside the VA or outside, they bring this and they can be taken seriously instead of questions, gaslighting, dismissal.
Yeah, I wanted to comment on this. I have a lot of friends that are veterans. I've been to many spaces, on X, and we've had a lot of veterans talking about the struggle right now just to go to like the VA in their local town, wherever they live, or state, depending on how far away they are, to even get them to give them partial disability for someone who's got terrible, horrible back where they can't do certain things. They can barely walk or drive for very long. It's hard for them to keep a job for a certain amount of time simply because of the pain that they're in. And it's sad to see the fight they have to go through to get what they deserve, because they served our country, for God's sakes. You know, they went and did certain things depending on whatever it was, the job they had in the military, and whether they were exposed to, their hearing loss because they had explosions going on around them, whether they got shot, whether they got poisoned, by certain Agent Orange or whatever it is, different things that different countries use against the enemy that they see the American soldiers as, and to see them fighting for that. And now we have a whole nother thing that was forced on them, that either they got out of the military or they took this jab against their will, basically, because they had no choice. Just like I said, you have 2 kids, you live in base housing, and you're told you either get this or you're out. They felt like they had no choice. And they're thinking, why would the government inject me with something that's going to kill me or disable me where I can't protect my country anymore? So a lot of them believed and trusted in the system. And a lot of them are hurting for it now. They have so many different health problems that they can't even make it through a whole day at work, that kind of stuff. But that's one reason why I wanted to share this, because this right here, did you hear what she said? 2 people out of the hundreds of thousands of people in the military that are now having a hard time doing anything. Even if they've gotten out of the service, they can't get hired somewhere else because they can't work. They're sick. They can't make it through a whole day at work. It's sickening to me. It's sickening that we had a government, and we had the same man that forced this on our veterans is the same man that said, if you don't think you're making enough money, why not get on food stamps? And he said that to our freaking soldiers, people that were willing to go and take a bullet to keep us, the rest of us that are sitting here happy, fat and happy, from getting invaded, on our southern border or whatever. It's sad. It just breaks my heart, because I'm a military brat and I grew up on military bases, and it hurts to know that this is how our military is being treated now that they even have this added to it, the COVID vaccine, which they were forced to take. And the only ones that didn't take it are the ones that got kicked out because they decided, I don't know what's in this, and I don't know if I should trust them. It's sad, isn't it? That we can't trust our medical people anymore. We can't trust our government. We barely trust our own families. They've put us in a cage, basically, and we're looking out at all the zookeepers that still want to kill us. That's how we feel. It's sad. But let me go back and start playing it again. I'm sorry, I went on another rant.
Why do you think Carolina Stancic got this Army memo?
Her case is catastrophic, and her reaction was very easy to document from the start. You can find strokes on scans, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that makes all the difference. There's a lot of conditions that are far more elusive to identify: autoimmune conditions, inflammatory conditions. It's unfortunate that these conditions are so dramatic and scary and life-threatening right out of the gate. Those are the ones that get diagnosed, and those are the ones that get acknowledged.
Tell us about Drew. What makes his case stand out?
Drew is an incredible veteran, and he's a young father. He suffered a severe adverse event that's called Guillain-Barré syndrome, and basically what that means is your immune system attacks your nerves body-wide. If it's left untreated, it is fatal. So he ended up in the hospital. His legs weren't working, and the numbness and paralysis just kept moving up and up his body until the hospital put him into a medically induced coma. When he woke up, he could not move an inch anywhere in his body. So his son, his baby son, 9 months old at the time, his wife came and laid his son on his chest. And that's what gave him the will to live. And he fought for every single inch of movement that he's regained. Did he have the VA with him at that point? Kind of. But it was because it was such a catastrophic, very visual, insanely expensive vaccine adverse event. So it was impossible to deny what happened to Drew.
Even just talking about Drew's story, I can see that it brings you to tears.
It's heartbreaking to know these families. Every single one of them has stories like this, and every single one of them deserve to have their stories told for the American public to appreciate the sacrifice that these individuals made for us all to be able to be standing here together after the peak of the pandemic.
If a service member can't get that acknowledgement from the VA, how much money are they spending out of pocket to get treatment?
Easily 6 figures.
6 figures?
Easily. I mean, these are people that are mortgaging their health back, right? These are people that are taking all of their retirement including any disability benefits that they're getting. It's all gone. It's all going to these treatments that they need.
That's just wrong.
Correct.
I mean, they signed up to protect this country.
Yep.
But they're using their retirement, they're using college savings, they're taking loans against their homes to find specialized care.
Yep. They're losing their homes, they're moving back in with their parents, they're taking their parents' retirement. It's rough.
So for a layperson, what is the CICP?
The CICP is a compensation program that's designed to provide compensation or financial restitution for people that have been harmed by COVID vaccines or other emergency countermeasures.
I looked at the data on their website, and it says there are about 14,000 claims. 7,000 are pending. 7,000 approximately have been denied, and just over 100 are eligible for compensation. And of that, about 50 have been paid out.
Yeah. In the CICP, you have a right to file and you have a right to lose, because it has a 98.5% rejection rate. And this is the only avenue for any kind of financial restitution available for COVID vaccine injuries.
What is the average payout?
There's a couple of outliers for death benefits, and those are about $377,000. There's one more for a serious case of TTS, which is severe clotting. When you remove those outliers, the average payout is $4,000.
$4,000?
Yes. And the only things that are being covered are myocarditis and anaphylaxis.
So heart inflammation and sort of an all-of-body allergic reaction.
Correct. That is reversible. Anaphylaxis is an acute response that then they can treat right then, and then you can resume normal life.
So in your experience, how long does the claims process take?
Well, there's 7,000 that are still waiting to be adjudicated. And those people, by our math, they had to have applied in 2021 and 2022. So there's people that have been trapped in this system for more than 4 years at this point. For my case, for example, I was given a diagnosis from the NIH, so National Institutes of Health headquarters evaluated me in person. They diagnosed me with post-vaccine neuropathy. I filed a claim with the CICP program, and they rejected it and said, even with my NIH extensive documentation, they could not prove a causal link to the vaccine.
When you were rejected for compensation, you thought what?
That I was just one of the 98.5% that my case was not worthy to be taken seriously.
When your case was denied, did you feel that it minimized your suffering?
100%. I don't think people realize that, you know, having a severe complex chronic illness is one thing, but being constantly dismissed by the government, by drug companies, by even your medical teams, that's something else entirely for people to deal with. So the only reason I'm public, it's not because of my injury. It's because of what's happened after my injury. It's because these programs have been set up from the beginning to fail good Americans who stepped up. We did as we were told. And then when the floor falls out from under us, there's no safety net there to catch us.
When service members who believe that they are COVID vaccine injured go to the VA, what's their experience?
It's a universal feedback we get from our members, and that it's an abysmal failure. They said that they've been failing service members from previous vaccine campaigns and other, you know, like the burn pits, for example. This is no different, but it's worse because you can't talk about it. It's politically not, you know, favorable.
So what you're hearing from service members is that at some VAs, COVID vaccine injury is still highly politicized.
Yes.
Is it acknowledged?
No. And acknowledgement is step one. Without acknowledgement, you can't diagnose it, you can't treat it. You can't even make a phone call to somebody at a research facility that may be looking into this. because you can't find what you're not looking for.
Let's take that a step further. So you know service members who went to the VA and said, I believe that I'm COVID vaccine injured, and they said, you need mental health counseling.
Yes.
That's tough.
It is. And these are all men and women that a lot of them have PTSD from combat already. This is a different kind of PTSD that they're dealing with now from this gaslighting.
Service members who believe they're COVID vaccine injured, what are they telling you about their experience with the disability ratings process?
That's also a failure. I know 2 people that were able to get through to anything that would help them. Everybody else has been gaslit, dismissed. The stories have been so heartbreaking. If you can imagine people at the prime of their life, their whole life ahead of them, usually 1 or 2 kids at home, babies at home, and they're all depending on mom or dad, right? And then they get hit with something that they can't explain what it is. They know that it happened within 24 hours to 5 days after their COVID vaccine when they were totally healthy before. But then yet with this trigger, COVID vaccine and then catastrophic health failures, still somehow the VA cannot go back and go, okay, there's something going on here.
Is the Trump administration taking a different approach to COVID vaccine injury in the military than the Biden administration?
Unfortunately, from everything we've seen, the Trump administration, they don't want to deal with COVID vaccine adverse events. It's, that was in the past. Let's forget, we'll deal with issues moving forward, but let's move on from that. That's what we've been told. There's a little bit more dialogue here and there on the Republican side about COVID vaccine injuries and possible adverse events and so on and so forth. We clearly can talk about mandates and push against mandates, but the real, hit against mandates is actually what happens when people have an adverse event to the COVID vaccine and then they're mandated to go get another one over.
Well, I want to interrupt for just a second. I want to ask you something, Chris. The doctor the video that you talked about earlier, Dr. Campbell, do you know, and the meetings that you went to when you went to DC with what was it, Senator Johnson? Is that his name? Okay. Do you think that there is a test that they can do because if they do a blood test, because if he already knows that the spike proteins are attaching to your healthy cells and that your white blood cells attack the spike proteins that are attached to the healthy cells, and that's what makes you sick, right? So if they can do that, why can't they do a blood test on any person that comes forward, like these people she's talking about, to prove that they have the spike protein, so that proves that it's from the COVID shot? Why can't they do that? Why can't the Trump administration do that and prove that the shot is the reason why these people are sick?
Well, I mean, yeah, we're working on that, and I think they probably already have it, but it's being blocked because of possible litigation. The truth about all of this is being hidden right now because of all the possible litigation coming. But this is really upsetting me watching this right now. And I had seen it before and turned it off because of what it was doing to me. But let me give you my perspective on all of this. Okay, so my dad and I started working on COVID when the Chinese videos came in the fall of 2019. And we worked on it up until the time he died. And when he died, a former Surgeon General of the Department of Defense at the Pentagon took over, where I was supposed to give him all my information and he would pass it on. So I was given one order that I was supposed to follow, and I was added to a secured website at the AMED Center and School in San Antonio, which is across the street from Health Services Command. And that's who I had been attached to when I was out on active duty. So I've got this passcode and I've got an ID, and I can go in and out of any military base, the White House, whatever. I've got like a presidential level security. So there was a rollout in Denmark of the new vaccine. They gave it to 200 little children under the age of 18 months. 34 of them died, which was 17%. And it came across my feed from my AI that they were about to unleash that exact same vaccine to the military. So I sent an email to this secure server and gave them the data from those deaths, what the vaccine serial numbers were, and all that stuff like I was told to. And then someone came on and gave me a text. It was actually in a Facebook private group. You know, you can do those encrypted, and that's what kind of group it was. And someone sent me a text that I have in my phone that said, can you please come by G2, named a military base, and G2 is like investigative services. And it said, we have some crazies on, and it listed the military base. The next thing in that picture that I took, it says, you are no longer allowed to communicate on this server anymore. So General Becker was still alive at the time. And I called him and I said, what's going on? What is this about? And he said, that order came from Lloyd Austin. So my email or my entrance into that group chat, which was a classified medical group at the where the head of all the medical stuff is, kicked me off and then tried to cover it up. Well, 2 weeks after that, or less than 2 weeks after that, in between the 2 weeks where that F-35 crashed in Charleston, the head of the Army resigned. And when they asked him why he resigned, he said, I'm tired of trying to keep the peace between the fighting factions in the military. So that's my personal experience with that. Someone who had the power to know said that Lloyd Austin was the one that was behind all of that. And so I hear her saying all this vague stuff, but my personal experience, the screenshots in my phone, my travel records, and all my appearances with Congress and all that other stuff and at counterintelligence offices since the time they threw me off that website tells a really sad story. But this is the week, 2 days ago, that they had all of the military officers in and all of the people that know this girl's story and a lot of other people's story. And Senator Johnson had them in. And I didn't go to that because I'm a ghost. Okay, they had the suits there, the people who I gather my information for, but I would not appear attached to the military and something like that because of the way my job assignment works. But I watched every minute of that hearing, and they're doing something about it.
Yeah. Well, I think it was last week on the Friday Night Shit Show, I shared some information from Catherine, about how the channel she was working for came in and took all her data, took everything, because she was trying to expose the government, right? So, just like I've always said, I just want the truth out. It doesn't matter where the truth comes from, even if it's sad, even if it's against people that I don't, want to see go down. But if they're not doing the right thing, then people need to know about it. And
Bob Redfield that you had on, right? He was the acting chief of the Center for Disease Control when all of this was going on. And my dad was alive, and so was Surgeon General Quinn Becker. And we were having Zoom calls, literally talking to him. And he said they were telling him to shut up, right? And then they replaced him with that I don't know, Asian lady. And she came on and she was all gung-ho about that. They knew it was killing people. Whenever everybody just stops and goes, wow, did they really do that on purpose? Well, I don't know if the outcome is what they expected, but everything they did that led to the outcome was definitely on purpose, and none of it was made to sure that it wasn't harmful. None of it was made sure what the first experiment they gave, the first group of vaccines they were going to send out to people, they gave to 100 dogs, and every one of the 100 dogs died.
I know. I got emails with videos that I shared. I had my channel taken down, because of it on YouTube, not Rumble. But I shared 3 different videos of people that snuck videos out of the beagles. Every single beagle in the different laboratories after they got injected died. Yet they moved on. But remember, I've said this since I first started doing this, that that's why Hillary Clinton was so upset, because she thought the rig was in and that she was going to win. And so when Trump won, it ruined the whole thing for them, because they knew with someone from the outside in here, all the stuff that we had planned coming up wasn't going to roll out the way they wanted it to. That's why they had tried to impeach him. That's why they kept throwing criminal indictments at him. That's why they tried to kill him. That's why they keep doing all this stuff. But God or someone is intervening, and they haven't been able to kill him. Now, the whole thing during the whole COVID thing was when Biden was, put in. How many weeks did it take for them to get enough votes for him to have 81 million votes? It took weeks and weeks and weeks to get the extra votes in, and that will come out too. But the sad truth is, it has to be done legally. You can't have the president go in and round up everyone and put them in prison, okay? Because he's not a king. He is a president. We have to go through Congress. We have to follow the Constitution. And yes, it takes time. And I don't like that we have to wait, but this stuff is coming out. And if people actually listen to these videos, pay attention to what's happening, they're going to understand when we finally do start having trials, why these people are on trial, instead of just going click, click, click. Where's my show? Because nobody wants to see the truth. And when I try to show it step by step by step, I still get hate. I still get say it, they want to slit my throat in my sleep and shit like that, and I'm not getting paid to even do it. But yet there's people on X that will say everything but the truth, from these people. And they're making money, and they're saying the opposite because they're getting paid to say the opposite. If somebody came to me and said, hey, we want you to do this, and they have on TikTok. They said they've offered to give me money if I do this, that, and the other. And I've just said no.
You need to be able to get some temporary tattoo ink and tattoo the truth across your tits, and then put your tits in the fucking camera. And I'm telling you the truth, you'll be viral as hell, and the truth will get out.
That's totally against. If I'm showing my cleavage because I'm dressed up as a character from a movie. Totally different. But to get attention just for me and to make me go through the roof, it's not worth it to me. I'm not going to do it for that purpose.
I was being funny,
I know.
I'm just saying that the people that get all that shit, man, that's what they're doing. They're doing crotch cracks and playing with their dildos at night, and
right now on YouTube that wears no clothes except for a pair of overalls. She wears no underwear, no bra, and you can tell when she's doing certain things in her yard. But she sure is getting those clicks, But that's what she wants, fine. And if people want that, then fine, But YouTube's already took away my monetization because they said I do the same video over and over again. I can't, how do you fight that? There's no way to fight it. I sent him a video showing all this different stuff on my channel.
You know what George Carlin said? George Carlin said, there's a great big club and you ain't in it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I know. I swallowed that when he said it. It's like I'm not in the club. I'm a ghost. I'm not a suit, right? I can go to Congress and everybody knows who I am and all that. But when it comes to like getting any notoriety or anything, they're like, I don't know him. You know?
I mean, I have lots of people say, wow, I can't believe you don't have more subscribers. And I'm like, but you know what? I have more subscribers already right now on YouTube than many people that are already monetized and they're already making money. And I don't know. Because I say stuff they don't like and they don't agree with, they're going to find a way to say, well, she shouldn't get any money. We're not going to share money with her or whatever, which is fine. I'm not making any money, but that's fine. I'm still going to make it as long as they'll let me. But right now I got 2 warnings. I've had a warning against my channel since January 2 years ago because they won't take it down. So I already have a warning every day when I start doing anything. And I try to make sure everything's legal. I play all the stuff at the beginning, about this is my opinion, blah, blah, blah. I do all the stuff that they say that you're supposed to do, but yet it doesn't help me. They still don't like me. They still hate me. I still get death threats. I still get told I'm a slut and a whore and a whatever, everything. I get called everything, but I haven't stopped. I'm still doing it. So, I'm not a quitter. My mama did not make me a quitter. I am stubborn as hell.
Yeah, I've been in the middle of this, to the point where this last Catherine Heritage report, and it's literally triggering my PTSD because it's been my life.
Yes.
Okay, I was right in the middle of it the whole time, and that you would, if I told you the things they did to me, you wouldn't believe it. It's like a John Grisham novel,
Well, I believe
it's
it.
insane,
I'm
right?
one of the
It's
people
totally
that
insane. And all I'm trying to tell you is that I don't know how all this is going to work out. Who knows how it's going to work out? But I can tell you this: they're having hearings in the Senate and the House. They are arresting people. We're having this. I'm telling you, 4 years ago, they would have cut us off in the middle of this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
They were dogging people.
Yeah.
We could
I've
have
had 'em
never
do that.
told any of this truth. None of these stories from real people.
Don and I got turned off. My very first show, it got turned off in the middle of my show. And
Yeah, they turned us off one time when I was in Houston at her farm, and we were having one. Remember that? The one Ann Vandersweel was at?
I got turned off. And also, I've had the Shepherd's Watch Foundation on about child trafficking stuff. Zip. I got turned off for that too. I'm a cyber bully because I talked about Comet Ping Pong and I was talking about John Podesta's emails with Hillary Clinton. I got taken down for 2 weeks for that, and only on YouTube though. See, because YouTube is owned by Google, and if they don't like what you say or whatever, and they don't agree with it, they have the right. It's their company. They can kick anybody off they want. But as long as I have a chance, I'm going to still try to get to the people because I have, I have over 1,800 and something people that follow me or subscribe to me on YouTube. And if they would leave or not leave, they could stay on YouTube, but also follow me on Janet's Universe on Rumble, then I would do more exclusive stuff over there and not even do it. I could just put, my chicken videos over here, I can't afford to put a live cam out in my chicken coop like some people can. I think Tim Pool has one or something, but I can't afford to do that. But I'm just saying I could do that if that's what YouTube wants. They want whatever, that kind of shit, YouTube friendly videos. I would do that. Or I could clean my toilet and sweep and vacuum and do what good wives do and good housekeepers and good moms or people that obey. I could do that shit. I could do all that kind of stuff if that's what people want. But when I look at my numbers, the shows where I actually do this kind of stuff, I get the best numbers for this. This is the stuff that people are interested in listening to from me. But I'm just trying to do what I feel is right and share truthful information. And when she said this about the Trump administration, it doesn't make them look too good, but it's truth. Why would they risk this if they were lying? You see what I mean? And everything that you and Dawn have taught me since the first time we ever talked together, all of this is leading up to this, which is all truth. Right? So I don't feel bad about it. This is my opinion, and I feel the truth needs to be seen. And anyone watching can look at this and say, "Oh, I think they're full of shit." Change the channel. Or they could say, "This is interesting. I'm going to write this stuff down and I'm going to go look into it."
Man, they could just turn Grok on and tell Grok, if these people say any bullshit that's not true, let me know. And Grok would be pulling up all the documents.
But
Grok
Dr.
is educated.
is on YouTube right now saying exactly what these ladies are saying. It's saying exactly what you and I are saying, just like that Tucker Carlson interview that I played of the Surgeon General talking about stopping the shots in Florida because anyone under the age of 15, because they want to make sure whether or not it alters their DNA. And when he said that, they took my channel down for 2 weeks because I was sharing medical misinformation. I'm like, what? He's the Surgeon General of Florida. It didn't, but it was still up on Tucker's channel. See, they take it off of mine, but they leave it up on the guy that's making them lots of money, and I make money. See?
Yeah.
That's what I see. But I can only see what I see because they don't talk to you. There's no person. There's no. They send you a message, and then I send them a 4-minute video showing my channel. This is this. I do these shorts. I do this show, and I do this show, and I do this, and I dress up for cosplay for a movie review, and I do. I showed them everything, but they still said no. You're doing the same show over and over and over and over again.
I'm going to send this podcast to Dr. Campbell. Me and him have our private information and we chat. I'm going to send this. Yeah, I think so. I think we'll like it.
Important. That's the only reason I'm doing it. It's because nobody else is doing it.
I hope everybody prays because I pray a lot.
Yeah,
I think that's the only reason that I keep going, and I don't go to church and I'm not like a real religious person, but I'm real spiritual. And I talk to God a lot. I'm alone a lot, so I can talk out loud without anybody thinking I'm a weirdo. And I have that kind of relationship. And there's a lot of times I won't say things. And then there's a time when that door gets open for me to tell a truth that truth needs to be told. And I can remember when they first sat me down way back in December of 2019. And they said, if you do this, they may kill you. And I just looked at both of them and said, well, y'all remember when I went to Bosnia and y'all remember when I went to Africa and did all the other shit I did, and some shit's worth dying for. And I was willing to go as far as I had to go in this fight to where we could watch these videos and other people could clue in. And because everything that we've talked about in this show is absolute provable truth. Documents are available that back everything up. I've got grant numbers with names, scientists, doctors, and all that shit that they were working on COVID in 2012. I know the people that funded it. It all went through USAID. And the deeper my research went into USAID, then I started finding all this Medicare and Medicaid fraud. And that's sort of where the Doji thing that Elon came from. We planned all of that shit, and he knew where to look because I told him where to go look to find all of this stuff.
Well, that's
and
when
it was all tied in together. USAID. Okay, so the top 10 investors of BlackRock and USAID and Vanguard and all of them, 4 of the top 10 were the producers of the vaccine prior to the release of the vaccine.
Yeah.
Okay, that is what we're up against. Like 357 people that'll vote no, not to admit their sins, and then get in front of a CNN camera and talk about Donald Trump as a whore. It's like, I don't know. Donald Trump goes to court and he pays the women that he.
I've played that video many times. 2 years ago, I did a show and I showed how they had that slush fund and different people were using that slush fund to pay people off. that they groped or whatever and getting them to sign non-disclosures, and that you and I were paying for it. I did
That's
that
right.
almost over 2 years ago
It's
on
been
this.
going on since the 90s.
I know it's been, yeah, but I didn't know about it. I'm saying once I started finding out about this stuff and I started digging, people started sending me emails. I shared the Friday Night Shit Show chat email all the time saying, please send me stuff. If you see something or you think it's important, I'll try to share it on the show. And a couple times I've shared some stuff and my show got turned off in the middle of it.
I mean, I feel sorry for all the people. I feel sorry for all the parents that think they're going to get their kids ahead by sending them up there to be pages during the summer when they're out of school, because the shit they're exposed to in Washington, D.C., it's woke. You don't even think you're in America when there's certain parts of town. It's like, all right, I'm in little Somalia now. Oh, I'm in little Pakistan over here. And you go to a Mexican restaurant, it's like the reverse of every town you go in, like the Chinese restaurant, Mexican people are working there. Up there, you have a like an Italian restaurant, and everybody that works there is a Pakistani or Afghani or some shit, or from Uzbekistan or some, you know.
That's why I don't live there. But you know, I don't want to live in that. Why would I put myself in the middle of something that I'm trying to talk people, give them some truth about it, you know, that I don't want that. And that if we don't help our kids and help our grandchildren to see the truth and try to get them to live a life where they share honesty, you know, the days when you showed up for work a little bit early, you took a bath, you brushed your teeth, you wore deodorant, you did all those things to make a good impression to the boss or for the interview. Now you see kids doing interviews and their shoes aren't tied, their pants aren't zipped up, and they're like all slovenly sitting there like, yeah, that's what, you know, they don't even care because they don't want to get a job. They want to stay at home and they want to play video games all day, even though they're 40 years old, you know, when they should be out. Dude, I mean, I was moved out before I was 18. I was renting a trailer. I had to walk to work because I couldn't. My parents had 5 kids. They couldn't afford to buy me a vehicle. So I walked. I had to get a job and get a place to live close to where I worked. And my very first job I ever had, the only place that was available was a chicken plant. Okay. And it sucked. But guess what? I worked my ass off and I paid my own way. I paid my own way because my parents couldn't just buy shit for me. You know, there's no way with the much money my dad getting out of the military and then getting another job, working for as a whatever, a person that fix a maintenance guy fixing machinery and stuff at different places. You go to Oklahoma and Arkansas and sometimes to Texas, depending on what he needed to fix. And my mom did, computer work and stuff like that. That's what both my parents worked, even after he got out of the military with military retirement as a senior master sergeant. Okay. So it's not a lot of money. And he had 5 kids, you know.
Kids cost a lot.
1 bathroom, and we had a 3-bedroom house. So my dad spent more time outside by the trees than he did in his own bathroom because he had 5 daughters, you know. I mean, I understand. But the thing is, I want the truth to be out because I don't believe the people in government are sharing what we should know. Okay. And I'm not trying to share, oh, it's a conspiracy. We have Gitmo and Hillary Clinton has already been tried and killed, and they put a clone out there that's running around pretending to be Hillary so that the people don't freak out because nobody's left. They've gotten rid of all these people, you know, stupid shit like that, which is, I don't understand where it comes from, but that's the kind of shit that's out there, you know, stuff like that. Or that, just like I was saying earlier, that Charlie's wife had him killed because she is sick of him and she just wanted his company, and, you know, this crazy shit that doesn't make any sense. Everything in life is not a conspiracy, okay? But anything the government is involved in could be conspiratorial.
I'll give you one right now that's hot as hell, and everybody's wasting a lot of time on it. Alien conspiracy. There ain't no fucking aliens, and there ain't no fucking spacecraft that came here. In the 1940s, after they started testing all the new shit they had, the new bombers and the new jets and all this other stuff, our government, the CIA, and those research people made all of those videos, and they're as fake now as they were then. And it's just basically a propaganda mission they went on to hide all the new technology they worked on at Area 51. And that's why they occurred there. And then, of course, you know, the way mobs are, everybody started seeing them. People just starting about, oh, I got abducted and they took me up and they were fingering me with 9-inch fingers and all this. Is like, yeah, whatever, motherfucker. You got imagination, okay? No existing thing can fly through space even in the time that humanity has existed in whole is not 0.1% of how long it would take to get to the nearest inhabitable planet. Doesn't happen. They don't pop in and out. There's no alternate universe. Are there demons and they can get in animals or people or different shit? Are there fallen angels? Yes, the Watchers are here. And they manipulate mankind with man's own innate animalistic behaviors, right? So there's a base level of everything we've talked about tonight, right? It's a matter of spirituality, and I don't know, people, the church fell. You can't even find somewhere to go worship now that isn't woke. I don't give a fuck about woke. I don't live by woke. I live by Proverbs. I live by the words Jesus said about loving your neighbor and sacrificing what you have and living poor and not becoming that rich ruler. So I didn't have to give all that shit away. I just stayed poor. And you know what? Everything I ever needed is always there. It's so weird. I get an assignment. You got to be in Miami at blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden the money appears in my bank account from some interest payment I forgot I was getting, or some, you know, stock rollover or some shit. And everything always works out that I don't have to worry about all that. And I like living that way. Like, I'll dress like this. I wear suits and ties when I'm in Washington. But this is me. This is Snoopy. You know, the guy that they nicknamed Snoopy 50-something years ago. I'm Snoopy. And I don't give a shit about formal pomp, circumstance, none of that shit. All I give a damn about is A, is it true or not true? And B, is it a crime or is it not a crime? And all of that involves analyzing people's mental states and all this other stuff. And as an investigator with sick people and crime for the last 30 years for the government, I've learned a lot about people, I promise you, right? We all sort of need to turn back to getting out of our egos and living for each other. And that was the only commandment Jesus left. He's like, there's 10 that sort of help us from all killing each other. Don't lie, don't stab people's back, blah, blah, blah. And first and most importantly, make sure that you run everything through the God filter, which is what the first one is. But all Jesus said was love your neighbor as yourself. I don't think Iran, or at least the IRGC, they don't love Israel, right? You got neighborhoods all across Chicago. Don't go in that neighborhood. And they tell that same thing to the people in the one that don't go in that. Why? The cops are going to get you the second they see you, right? There's this tribalism and all this other shit. And all that evolves around egos, wokeism, hedonism, the secular ideology that overtook the Christian church. And then you got literally a whole bunch of people that came over here that say death to America, death to Christians, death to Jews. It's like, oh my God, you know, it is what it is. When you put it in simple terms like that, you cannot deny the reality of it. And then throw on top of that, they poison most of humanity. They ruin the birth rate. They've made people sterile. Women are having natural abortions because the eggs won't fertilize and stay on, the ovum won't stay on the placenta. Blah, blah, can go on and on. You got heart disease and everything that we've talked about in this video. And all of that is real. And that was literally predicted thousands of years ago, that at this time in man's existence, somebody would come along and do that and kill a large portion of humanity. And what did people do? They believed every word out of their mouth. They trusted them. They let them shoot this stuff. You know, the fentanyl crisis. We got water all over the planet right now that's undrinkable. They're pumping water out of the ocean to make lakes in desert areas like Saudi Arabia and Israel and all this because there's no water to drink. Right. All of this stuff was predicted thousands of years ago, and it's happened in minor ways since the time it was written with the fall of Rome and the fall of the British Empire during their colonial years, and the Portuguese and Spanish, same thing. Right. They outgrow their britches and then they drown in their own creation. And we are in America right now. We're in that state. It's sad. It's just reality.
Well, do you want to finish this? It's like not much left.
Yeah, well, yeah, go ahead. We've been on for 3 hours. People ain't
I know.
gonna watch.
I'm sorry. I just wanted this last video, and then that was it.
That's fine.
Here we go.
86% of the people that go and get a second dose end up way worse after their second dose.
What is the single thing the VA could do to improve the lives of service members who believe that they are COVID vaccine injured?
Oh, step one is acknowledgement. You know, we have to identify that there could be an issue. And step two is to diagnose it. It's very easy to do, but for some reason there's a hesitancy. And so we hear all the time, well, we can't cause vaccine hesitancy, but on this we're causing healthcare hesitancy because we're not allowing for proper healthcare to happen.
Critics who listen to this interview may say, you are an anti-vaxxer. That's what it's all about. And that the conversation creates vaccine hesitancy and that the vaccine protected a lot of people. It didn't hurt the majority of people who took it. How would you respond?
I was a true blue Democrat, right? I voted for Biden the day before I went in and got my shot, and my life changed forever. Right? Like I did everything they asked me to do. I was their loyal soldier in the fight against the pandemic. My husband, he's a PhD chemist. We are science-loving, health-loving people that want to take care of our community. There is nothing about our story that is anti-vax or less worthy or, you know, crazy. I mean, the NIH diagnosed me with post-vaccine neuropathy, the lead medical research institution in this country, right? I did all the right things. And still, even with doing all of that, even I was abandoned by the people that I trusted my life with when they said, go get your shot.
We have reached out to the Department of War, the VA, and the Vaccine Injury Compensation Program. As we get responses, we'll share them with you. I spoke with Carolina Stanczyk. She is the soldier whose debilitating heart condition was linked by the military to the COVID vaccine.
Oh, it started
After
over,
her
Jen.
investigation,
Oh, it is?
Stanczyk
Okay.
reports that she
have
got
to get
2
back
years of back pay, and she says she's still working to clear
No, it's not. It's right here.
$28,000
It's 18
of medical debt
minutes.
with the VA. She recently got a service dog.
She's
It's
giving
trained to
updates.
alert for cardiac
okay,
issues.
yeah.
She says this is making a world of difference to the quality of life. Carolina says she would like to be working full-time, but unfortunately, her full-time job remains getting to medical appointments and monitoring her medical condition. I also spoke with Drew, who shared these pictures of his life before the COVID vaccine and his life after the COVID vaccine. And I don't need to tell you, the difference is dramatic. The after pictures show the struggle he and his young family faced to overcome these vaccine injuries. Drew says he has a full medical retirement from the Army. He says it's for injuries he sustained while deployed to the Middle East. He says his medical retirement is silent on COVID vaccine injury, even though he spent 6 months in the hospital, and he says it took him 3 years to get out of a wheelchair. Drew is very grateful to everyone's support for himself and his young family. He's getting into business consulting, and he's also advocated for other veterans. He's a huge supporter of adaptive sports.
This is the kind of accountability journalism you have come to expect here on Straight to the Point. We'll see you next time.
Awesome. She's wonderful. And I shared her link again in the chat. Please go follow her and support her for being one of the journalists that's willing to go out and risk it all, basically, to get the truth out.
Yeah,
Okay?
you know, Catherine Herridge was woke and she totally shifted her whole thing. Yeah, she went through a period where I couldn't
The thing
stand her.
is that she's doing it now. Okay, that's what I tell people. She's following through with what she believes, and she's staying true to it, even though she's risking her career. Basically, many people have done that, and what really irks me about it is the fact that we have so many people that constantly preach this, that, and the other, blah blah blah. This is the truth. Why aren't they talking about this? Why aren't they doing it? But then someone does come out and talk about it, but it's not the outcome that person that went on and on and on wanted, right? Because it led down the wrong road, the opposite road than these other people were pushing, and so they stopped talking about it. So they don't reward the person for bringing out the truth that they say they want. They just reward when it's the truth they want. See, that doesn't sound any different than the left to me. So I'm not the left, and I'm not the right either. I'm down the middle. I'm for everyone, and I think everyone should be treated the same. It doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman, because there's only two genders. I do believe that. Or if you're black, you're white, if you're American Indian, if you're Hispanic, whatever, Chinese, if you're a person, you know, but you have the right to find out the truth about whatever's going on in your community, in your state, in your government, you know, or whatever it is. And when the truth is coming out and you get to hear it or you get to see it, listen to the victims, stuff like that, then you're going to find out what the truth is. But you have to be willing to listen to it, even if it makes your stomach upset. It's not telling you what you want. You still have to listen. Then you take all the knowledge that you gathered and then you go research, look into it. Then you have your own answers. You didn't have to listen to anyone. You just took information you got from different places and you looked into it for yourself. And once you do that, you'll sleep better. You'll feel better because at least you're doing something. You're trying to make a difference in the truth part of it. So that's all you can do. That's all any of us can
do.
But I just want to say thank you to everyone who hung out with us tonight in the chat.
Thanks, everybody.
From X and from YouTube. I really appreciate everyone because, you don't have to hang out with us. And I know that. And I am thankful for everyone that stops in and says hi. Because if you don't say hi or say anything in the chat, guess what? I don't know if you were here. So you could be anonymous if that's what you like. That's fine too. But thank you very much. And thank you, Chris, for joining me again tonight. I really, really appreciate you. And I hope all of you have a wonderful, wonderful weekend starting tomorrow because it's Friday. Yay. So have a great weekend and hug your loved ones. Tell them you love them. And God bless America.
American COVID-19 vaccine deaths, it ranges from about 470,000 from Pfizer alone up to 840,000 American deaths from the COVID-19 vaccines. We have to remember that that is rivaling the American soldier death toll of World War I, World War II, Vietnam, and the Iraq War combined.